guys, welcome back. It's your girl Emily,
Steve,
Karlo,
and we are Perfectly Mid Podcast. And today we're going to talk about our crazy year and all of the cons that we've gone to. So we're going to do SDCC, Otakon, and Anime NYC, and talk about our likes, dislikes, and some of the highlights throughout the year. So I guess what? We want to start off with SDCC?
Well, yeah, that feels like it was a year ago, but SDCC, yeah.
I didn't go.
Yes, you didn't go.
You can leave.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
But you came last year, so
Yeah.
you can kind of like weigh in from like a first timer from last year, and then I've gone both years, and Steve has
This was
gone.
my first.
So.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, so SDCC, it's the end of July this year, and it had about 135,000 attendees, and it's at the San Diego Convention Center. So let's talk about it. So, I mean, last year you went for the first time.
Yeah.
First impressions?
It's definitely the biggest, and
Biggest Comic-Con.
Biggest Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I think it's the biggest convention I've been to.
AX is bigger, I think.
Well, yeah.
Now that you've been to AX is huge. Like
AX is bigger?
They say 300 to 350,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I just remember...
But SDCC feels big.
Yeah, because there's all these like outdoor activations that happen, and there's just so much going on, and I feel so much FOMO all the time. Also because all the panels that they have, there's very few, or like, not very few, but there are far more like official corporate run panels rather than community run panels at SDCC. So it just feels like if you're not going to something, you're missing out on like a huge release. But I had a lot of fun at it last year. It was just hot.
Yeah, we got to talk about July cons in California. I guess New York City's also hot in the summer, but between AX and SDCC, I know we can't do everything in the winter, but come on.
Yeah.
It could be cooler.
Yeah.
I guess San Diego's always kind of the same temperature, but it felt hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with SDCC... Oh, there's
We've
a cat.
got cats messing with the cameras. That's just going to happen.
So the thing with SDCC that I really liked, the thing that stands out in my mind was the Cartoon Network area.
Yes.
I remember last year there was like a whole like carnival thing with like rodeos and
Yeah, the
and
Adult Swim
carnival
section.
Games. Yeah, Adult Swim,
Yeah.
Cartoon Network, yeah. Even though like Warner bought them and it's been not being treated well by the corporate overlords. But I just remember that area just being so much fun. What was that like this year?
The same. Or what I don't know about the same, but it was
Yeah.
so much. That was, I think, the best that was the best activation. we went
By
to.
far,
We
by
went 2
far.
days.
Yeah, yeah. So this year it was like a piratey theme. So it was like very Rick and Morty heavy. They had a lot of cool.
There's a pirate ship in the middle. A
Yeah.
giant skull.
Yeah, like why don't you talk about some of like the activities?
Yeah, there was. Well, I mean, we went the night before, and they brought out characters from Adult Swim series to wrestle against heels from the WWE, or maybe it was ECW. But either way, like they had actual professional wrestlers who, despite what you think about how real it is, incredible athletes. And then they brought out people in costumes who maybe were also like pro wrestlers
Professional.
to be like Meatwad. And like the dinosaur from Primal.
Yeah.
To fight them. And of course the heels are like, you know, they come out as a guy and a girl, and the girl's like, anime sucks, LA is better.
And you're all like, boo!
Yeah.
That was really fun. And then they had a bunch of games that we played. So they had like a dunk.
Wait, hold on. Before we move on from that,
Yes.
how long were each of the matches?
Probably
like
5
minutes.
Yeah, and they did multiple matches. We saw at least 2, but they kept going.
Yeah.
And it was like they were jumping off the ropes and like the full deal?
The pro wrestlers did a bit of like rope work. It was more like the bouncing off the ropes and like dinosaur clotheslining. I don't remember how Meatwad fought because he's Meatwad, but like, I mean, when Meatwad came out, I was like, Meatwad! I like totally got into it. And like even I think the ECW folks won the first fight, so like it wasn't even like, oh, we're just brought out.
Yeah, it wasn't like biased like that.
Like the mascots are
They
gonna
made
win.
it more like a pro wrestling match where some matches are gonna go to the heels. Yeah,
That's
that was
so much
so
fun.
cool. That was just interesting.
Yeah.
Then there was a dunk tank, which Emily actually hit the center but not hard enough, and I threw over the fence and into the ground.
Athletes.
Yeah, exactly. It was a really poor performance on my part.
Knowledge of anime up here, athleticism down here, perfectly made.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
I can do running and non-specific activities. You need me to hit a target? There's a reason I'm not on the softball team. And then they had like a beanbag toss. I did okay on that one. We both won giant towels from Rick and Morty, which I'm assuming you now have.
Yes.
There was some other stuff. Oh, there was the giant primal dinosaur that
Yeah.
you could like get up and ride.
You went down the slide.
I did go down the slide. Emily didn't want to. I went down with my Osmo in hand. Terrible footage. Couldn't use it. But, it was like a kid's
Cut
slide.
to.
Yeah, oh man, I'll cut to that bad footage. Maybe I have to go find that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had the slushies. Easily,
Yeah.
the highlight of the con was the Adult Swim section.
Yeah. And then...
Oh, and there were bands, and, they were playing music. It was great.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
to the Adult Swim
and
episode.
giveaways.
And it's, so funny, because that's so good, and then you go inside to,
And also so small compared to what SDCC is about.
Yeah.
There's nothing, there's
and they don't
almost
really
nothing else
release
about...
much.
I mean, Hulu technically had an
Animehem
is the only other animation-based thing at SDCC.
Yeah.
So, it's not really a presence there, the best. And also, Animehem was crazy busy.
Oh, yeah.
From what I understand, that was probably the second most popular.
Always lines. Last year there were so many.
So the way that it works, for those who have never been to SDCC, right, you have the big convention center, and then kind of neighboring around, they have what they call activations. And it's, properties will either rent out a space, they'll build something that, then they engage.
Take over a parking lot.
They take over a parking lot and they engage, and
they make it like an immersive experience.
Exactly. So, and those are open to the public. So you do not need an SDCC badge to get into the activations.
Which is rare, because New York Comic Con periodically has a couple, but they're just in the parking area.
You still have to have a badge.
You have to get in.
It's right outside.
Yeah.
It's just in front of the con, so you're physically in the space. And I think some other cons do things like that, but it's always at the con.
Yeah, part
for
of,
con
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
SDCC and other people mention it, SDCC takes over the town. If you're in San Diego and you don't have a badge, you can still be part of SDCC.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know
Now,
that.
granted, the lines are long. We
Yeah.
saw people waiting in line for the Paramount thing for 4 hours. You wasted your time.
Yeah.
But you can be part of the whole festivities even if you don't have a pass.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's easily one of the coolest things about SDCC.
I'm learning things.
Yeah. When they talk about theoretically moving it because of the cost of the convention center, which I think they were just always threatening for negotiations,
Yeah.
I can't imagine you move that to another city and you're able to have it be such a big beyond the convention center event.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a conversation for later when we tackle all the cons and how they compare. But when things are in New York, no one cares.
Yeah.
It's you could walk 5 blocks in one direction and no one knows it's happening. Whereas in any other city, something that big is there, it's the talk of the town, which is it's really nice to have that
That's
feeling.
probably why you thought SDCC was so big, is because it's not just the 155,000 or whatever is the number of people with badges, but there's just people in town.
Yeah.
You walk literally 10 blocks past the convention center. Stuff is still going on, and there's just people in town who are participating. So I don't know how they would count that, but that's probably way bigger.
Well, they have all of the and all the hotels and glasses all placard with
Oh yeah.
Posters and decals. So it's you just
Yeah,
feel
the whole city is an advertisement.
Yeah, exactly.
So for us...
Oh, and the trains. All the trains have advertisements on the
That's true,
the
yeah,
tram.
the
So
tram
it's
that runs
rolling
through.
and you're seeing an advertisement for Silo and episode 8 of random white guy Jack Ryan or whatever it is, or this show on CBS you've never heard of, oh, this person's smart and they help the cops, for version 20.
So for me it was Adult Swim. For you it was Adult Swim. What was it for you?
Yeah. Well,
You
besides
went
the concert, but
Yeah,
activation, easily Adult Swim.
Yeah, Adult Swim, but just for the sake of differentiating, I'll talk without
You have to pretend.
Yeah, I'll say the Paramount Plus was then probably a close second. So that one had, you walk in and it has SpongeBob, the If, the Imaginary Friend movie.
Oh, the Ryan Reynolds one?
They had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle section. They had
Star Trek.
Yes, Star Trek, and then an Ink Master section. So in each of these little rooms, you could the Ninja Turtles handed out pizza and soda. Ink Master, you could get a temporary tattoo. And
Emily actually got a real tattoo. She just
yeah. I had got a Doodle Bob temporary tattoo.
Oh, yeah, you did get Doodle Bob.
I didn't know Ink Master was still happening.
Yeah, and then
Apparently. There was
you
the
could do this
thing with the paranormal thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I
I
forget.
don't know what that show was.
Yeah,
Terrible job at advertising the show.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was,
Yeah.
but they handed out perfumes, and then the SpongeBob section. I think it was just mostly a photo op, right?
There was the butterfly. They had one of those air tank things
Oh,
where
whoa,
you
you
catch
got- okay.
butterflies,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I caught a bunch of butterflies, and I got some crazy SpongeBob glasses that were ridiculous, and some bubbles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
And
was
then,
butterflies or jellyfish?
It was jellyfish.
Yes.
Yeah, it was jellyfish.
And then I think the last, then you could
There's
like make a
bar
T-shirt.
or something.
Yeah, well, yeah,
get a
you could
drink. I
yeah.
don't even know if that was connected to a show. I think it was just y'all need alcohol.
Yeah, and then the Star Trek one, you could make a T-shirt, right?
Yes, I made a shirt for Nate. They'll get that at some point.
Yeah. But again, like it's a whole community aspect of it. Something that I didn't get to go to that I wish I did looking back, but that we got to go to last year was the FX activations. So last year it was really cool because it had
What We Do in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows.
Shogun. Yeah.
And I forget there was maybe something else. And so it was really cool, and we went at night, so like the What We Do in the Shadows section was really awesome, and they handed out ice cream. I did hear though that this year some of the activations were a little like underwhelming considering the times people had to wait for them, but you were able to, I think the win of the giveaways that people were talking about was FX was handing out umbrellas that you could customize with like a bat for What We Do in the Shadows, like,
That's cool.
yeah.
You could always use an umbrella.
Well, and it's so hot, like, right? Like standing in line at SDCC and certain
What was
things.
the one at the boat in the
Oh, the
Here.
IMDb.
IMDb, because they gave out like
Oven
mitts and something like practical items.
That makes
which was
so
really
much
cool.
sense. Oven
So
mitts
like an
makes
umbrella
sense.
too is like, because I don't know, I've kind of hit that point at cons where like my first couple years I was like any free shit. I have
you're
like
like-
random pamphlets from Tokyo Game Show that are just like advertisements for a game I never played because I'm like, oh, it's free, and now I'm like, what am I gonna do with this? An umbrella you could use.
Yeah.
There's like a comment that like during cons you'll give out your social security number for a Snickers.
Yeah.
Like you'll just do whatever,
Well, the
and you'll
Snickers
wait.
has the Hulk on it.
It
so-
does, yeah. And it's given to you by a guy in like a makeshift Hulk costume
Yeah.
who's getting paid minimum wage.
It's Hulk Hogan. He didn't know which character it was supposed to be.
Oh, and the box lunch.
A box lunch was good. That was a long. Real quick on Paramount though, because you commented on the lines. We went in as press, so it wasn't too bad. The line for that was multiple hours. Would you say that was would have been worth it?
No.
If you were waiting
no.
an hour.
I mean, we went for the press night,
Yeah.
and like you got drinks and food and everything, and like it's definitely worth it when you can go in and have a
Shaun of the
reservation.
Dead was the same way.
Yeah.
They took over a building, pretended it was a bar. They couldn't serve alcohol. It was a cool decoration, but
So
not worth a line.
What did they serve?
They handed you a beer, but you couldn't drink it there.
Yeah.
Oh, so you like
You
Oh,
had a
yeah,
can
oh.
of beer, and they sold some Shaun of the Dead merch. Like, decoration-wise was cool. If you were
Okay.
waiting in line for it, it wasn't worth it.
sometimes the line, like there's a balance. If the line's too long, obviously like it sucks. But waiting like 30 minutes for something sort of makes it feel a little more special.
I did that for Silo, and I didn't know Silo, but I waited to just to cover it and
Yeah.
get some footage. And the people in line were really into it, so they talked to me about it. And now it's on my list of get around to it.
Mm.
But again, I was in line for like maybe 40 minutes.
Mm.
And if it was an hour, I probably would have got out of line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
part of it is like you do make friends
Yeah.
online
Yeah.
on the line.
But I will say with the activations, I believe there's also like a reservation system.
Yes.
And if you're not, then you have to go on the standby line. So if you can get reservations, which they release, I think, like a few weeks beforehand, it's definitely worth it, right? It's
Yeah,
worth
yeah,
it, right?
if
Because
you
you can
could-
only walk around the exhibitor floor for so long before you're like,
We did so many laps of these.
yeah, exactly. So like the activations definitely are fun, like mix it up.
Yeah, it gets you outside, away from the center. So box lunch, also a very long line. That was probably an hour.
Yeah, but I
we
felt
were,
like it
catching
moved
up.
pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
And it was outside, and they gave out a grab bag with a random toy in it. And it was like 1 out of every 50 would be something really cool, and most of them were like the little Funko character in a fake
Like the soda
can.
pops.
So we both got Colette from Ratatouille. I traded it for like somebody had an Ed from Cowboy Bebop, so I was all excited. But it was also the one in a soda can, so I opened it and I was like, "Oh, this is actually ugly as sin. I don't want it." But then the second day, we both got lucky,
Yes, I got an Itadori plushie keychain.
and I don't remember what I got.
You got a Tanjiro, like
I did,
pen,
yeah. I
right,
got
or
a little
something?
Tanjiro character, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was surprising because again, it was probably like 1 in 50 was good. Somehow we both got lucky the second day.
Yeah.
Um,
And then I
oh,
think
and they gave us like an ice cream.
yeah, that's
So
true.
that was cool.
That's true. And then I think just to quickly maybe touch on some of the other activities,
Oh, yeah.
Crunchyroll had some really awesome stuff.
I don't even remember.
The two concerts.
Yeah, actual activity, yeah, like
Yeah.
events, yeah.
Not cool things. Cool things.
Yeah, I
to
was
do
thinking
in
like,
the
what did
city.
Crunchyroll give out? But
Yeah,
yes. Yeah, I didn't know about it because I'm not as good at paying attention on social media as Emily is. Usually she's texting me like, hey, did you know this thing's happening? You should reserve a seat. But you guys didn't tell me that Lisa was performing. Wearing a shirt. And I found out because we were doing the interview for Atsuko, and the PR person who helped us set that up mentioned the concert, and I was like, wait, what? And then we just goes, oh yeah. And then she's like, you kept me from going by the Crunchyroll booth, so I didn't see that they were doing it, and I never noticed.
Yeah.
She's like, let's go down this aisle.
She put on a full concert.
Full concert.
Yeah.
And it was the first time since
Like in over 10 years.
2011, I think, is the only other time she's performed in the U.S. She's never toured here. I think it's relatively likely she'll tour here next year, though.
Was that a separately ticketed event, or that was like...
You needed an SDCC badge to get into it, but it was first come, first serve.
It was free. Yeah, and Crunchyroll put it on.
And you could have any day badge, right? You didn't have like
Yeah.
So
oh, you like if you had
a Sunday badge. It was like a Friday night.
It was Friday because Saturday was the other.
So like if you had a
It was
Sunday
nuts.
badge, you could go.
And was it like a fully featured concert, like as if she was on tour?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
She played for, like-
They had 2 openers.
Yeah.
And she
Whoa.
did an entire 12 songs and 2 encore songs. So she played basically every major anime opening song she has done, plus
She does all the Demon Slayer openings.
she's done.
right?
She did the first
Demon
one, and then she
Slayer,
did Gurenge, and then she
SAO.
did the one for the Mugen Train movie and that season. She did the original SAO opening, Crossing Fields, which is what was the first one that blew up for her. She does the theme song for the Nier Automata anime, which I didn't.
Was she
realize.
popular before? Or did she get popular doing?
I don't know.
Like, having
like she was.
hired for this
I think she was doing okay.
She was in a band before, and then she kind of like
Crossing
branched
Fields
off
came
and
out
did
like
a
relatively
solo
early
career.
in her career. Like
That's
that show
cool.
came out in like I don't know 20.
So she's like,
12.
is she like pop or rock or like what?
She's
is her vibe?
she's- I
She's
would-
pop rock, J rock.
J rock.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But she's I would argue maybe the biggest Japanese artist in like the anime sphere, and one of the bigger artists just period. She's huge. Like it's confusing
Well,
to me
now
that
with
Lisa's in
Yoasobi.
Blackpink because like Lisa is like in my head I'm like that's Lisa.
Yeah.
Yoasobi's like temporarily bigger. I don't know if it'll last. Like Lisa's had staying power.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
So yeah, she did a full show with 2 openers. These like 3 DJs who were just having a blast. Didn't know their music, but they were having fun. And then Alice, the second act.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe her music?
It's like gay electronic.
Lesbian was the first word I was gonna
Yeah,
put. It's very
like
much a part
queer, electronic, experimental.
mental with like some screaming.
When
Yeah.
you said that at first, I was like, oh, so this
No,
is
like,
a
in the-
COD lobby?
In like the best way possible, like
Gay.
very like alternative and like
She did a song just about Nana.
yeah.
Oh,
About like how the show and like how it helped
The
her when she
fashion,
was like growing
yeah.
up and like just the queer
Oh,
messaging
just the queer,
in it too.
That's
she was
so
really
cool.
cool and had a lot of fun. She
Her
very-
outfits were awesome.
Yes. She very
Nana
much
inspired?
No.
no. She very much talked about trying to go to Japan the way that like a weeb who's never been to Japan. She's like, I love like like the most base level stuff where I'm like, okay, she's gonna have a good time.
I love the cherry blossoms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ramen. I can't wait to eat ramen. There, like that. Those sorts of things. Where I was like, all right, she'll have fun.
I heard Ichiran's the best.
Yeah.
Feelings?
Anyways.
That's a different episode.
Yeah. But yeah, Lisa was spectacular. I was super excited for that. We ended up sat in the front. I was like, Emily was nice enough to go along with me. I was like, we have to get there early. I want to be in the front. I got to take photos and video of the first 3 songs was the rule for press, which was cool. So like you had the people from Getty Images like running up with the like full gear doing all this, and then I'm just there trying to shoot. And then we bought like the Lisa light
it's right
sticks. Oh yeah, you got yours right there. Mine's in my
this
bag.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah!
And then the whole wall collapses.
Yeah.
Got the shirt. I got the record. Got these goofy hats with like ear flaps.
Yeah.
So
Everything.
all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Yeah. We made friends with a guy in the front row who was also there as press. It was really cool. And then after like the 3rd song, when all the photos were done, they kind of I don't know if they prompted us.
Yeah, you were able then to go up to the barricade.
Yeah, like the first 2 rows of us all went up to the barricade. And only the first 2 rows didn't get like crazy crowded. We all were giving each other space. Emily did get in a bit of a spat with one person.
yeah.
You were in the right. There's always a person at the concert who's like being a little too selfish.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have to go into it.
I feel like Zoolander. I can't figure out how to turn this off.
So when I said my battery was dead at Creepy Nuts, it was actually I couldn't remember how to turn it on. It was just push the button, and I figured out afterwards that it did work, and I'm an idiot.
Oh my goodness.
The concert was spectacular. One of the best concerts for me personally, just for how much all her music means to me. and really excited that I can't imagine she's not going to tour next year with how
Hopefully.
many Japanese bands are touring. She's bigger than almost all of them.
You said she hasn't done the U.S. in
She's
10
never
years.
done a U.S.
Oh,
she only played one show in the U.S. 10 years ago, and that was the only time she's played here.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she came back not at 10 years, 2011. So and that was like her second ever U.S. show.
Has she done like world tours before, like in Asia?
I don't know, but I can't. Maybe,
But she's never done.
Maybe, she's never really hit North
crazy.
America. Yeah, and that's part of the Japanese thing too. Of like they're not nearly as eager to like go big.
Expand.
They don't know the audience. I mean, we've seen that like with all the anime people we've been talking to. They don't know how far their reach is.
Push too. Like where in the U.S. it's a lot of like let's tour bigger, get everything out there. K-pop's kind of the same way, where it's like we're gonna put out an album every 3 years. It's like you could do more. Your fans will take it.
And mark everything by like Generation 1, Gen 2.
Yeah, exactly. So I would expect her to do a tour.
They also like with concerts in Japan. We've noticed they don't allow filming. Like
Most don't, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty rare to do that. When I went to the 3-day festival, it was no filming. I cheated like as a foreigner. I took real quick photos, like no video. But then when YOASOBI came out on the third day, they specifically made an announcement and said the band would like you if you want to film this. And I shot some film of it, which was cool. But I was also annoyed. I was like, oh man, I had 3 days of just watching acts, and now I'm looking at phones again.
That's like a big thing too, because so much of the advertisement comes from like this grassroots. I'm gonna share stuff on Insta. I'm gonna share stuff on whatever platform I am, and like people start picking it up. And if you're not filming at a concert and people don't get a taste of what you are like in a live format, people sort of ignore you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And in Japan, you don't get that the same way with people filming concerts. It's very much like a go be there kind of experience. So it was cool.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
And then quickly the One Piece.
Oh yeah, so the other day, because we had the press access, I asked and got to go to the One Piece 25th anniversary Symphony, where they played, the first half was just somebody on piano, which was impressive. They really threw the weight on him, and he played like a bunch of the character openings. So that he played for like Luffy and Zoro and all of them, their openings, and then a couple random songs, and We Are, the original opening. And then the second half, the whole symphony came out and played like another 12 songs.
Do you know what symphonic orchestra was?
I think it was the San Diego
That's really
Symphony.
Cool.
Because they've done it in other cities, and each time I think it's the symphony there.
Did they have any guests like conductors come out?
Unfortunately,
Or
no.
writers?
They played a video of was it Matt Mercer? Maybe. It's one of the characters who like voices someone in the English, and they had him like I think it was Matt Mercer speaking about the experience, but they didn't have guests like it. That was there at AX, and I think they had like the composer there for that one, unfortunately. But it was really cool, and I sat with somebody actually who works at Bandai, and she was really into it. I admittedly have not watched the anime. I read all the manga, so I know the scenes, but I haven't necessarily watched the anime. So I was still into it, but not as much as fans of the anime. And she was like crying during certain songs, and I was getting more into it because like we're connecting about the characters. But she's like, I remember watching this. I was like, I don't, but I'm feeling it.
Was it put on for like a special event, or was it just kind of like
it was
a One Piece appreciation?
It's the 25th anniversary. I think they've done it in other years, but this was like it's the 25th anniversary, so we're gonna do a big event for it. And then they set off fireworks at the end. Honestly, that part was cool. The crazier part to me is because I was in the front with the press, they cleared out all the seats to the left of me. Luckily, the one I was in was okay, but they cleared 7 seats. And then a bunch of people showed up eventually to sit there. So it's like there's a man next to me and then a woman and mostly girls and one other dude. And I turned to the guy next to me. I'm like, so are you guys like influencers or what's the situation? He goes, yeah, mostly streamers, like some YouTube. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I was like, what's your content? And he goes, oh, I don't do it. My wife does. My wife Stella, and like his wife is turned away and turns to me, and I'm like, holy shit, it's Stella Chu. I was like, oh wow, like I actually like follow you, blah blah blah, and we're talking, and I was like, yeah, they were at the concert the night before, like 4 rows back, and I was like, oh, we were here. I was with my friend Emily. You dressed. We forgot to mention you dressed as Hime from the Crunchyroll mascot.
The Crunchyroll mascot.
Yeah, and Tim and Lauren from Crunchyroll called out to you after, and like we talked to
Tim
him.
Is the Asian guy with the long hair that is like at every Crunchyroll thing.
Yeah. Which was really cool. And so I was like, yeah, my friend was dressed as He-Man. She was like, oh, I saw her in the front. That was so cool. I was like, okay, cool. Like you remember me sort of through Emily. That's perfect. And then people kept coming up to take photos with some of the other people, including this one girl. And I'm like, she looks kind of familiar. I don't know who it is. And then all of a sudden she's talking to her friend on the phone, and I hear the voice immediately. I'm like, oh, that's Hassan Piker. Who's like, he's the biggest political streamer and one of the biggest.
Oh, Hassan. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I recognize his voice because he's super into One Piece. And I'm like, wait, who would be calling him? It's Valkyrae, who's like one of the biggest female streamers in the world. I'm like, holy shit, Ray's here. And I'm like, I thought about asking to take a photo with Stella and her husband, but I was like, we're chatting. I'll do it like halfway through the concert. And then halfway through the concert, it hits the middle, and we're like talking. Like, that was so cool. And then their PR person comes and gets them and leads them away. And I was like, oh. And the guy goes, it was nice to meet you. I was like, yeah. Whatever. This makes me look more normal. I didn't do it. So I went. We'll talk about it. But I went and found them at Anime NYC to say hi and be like, hey,
That's
cool. Where did you guys go? What was happening?
So 25 years of the manga
Of the anime.
I believe the anime.
So
the manga's been running for like maybe 26, 27. I think it started in 90. Well, maybe also 25 because it started in 99.
So what's gonna end first? One Piece or Hugh Jackman retiring from Wolverine?
Hugh Jackman. Oh, from Wolverine. There's at least another 5 years of One Piece.
At least 5 years.
At least 5
and
years.
we have Hugh Jackman until he's 90.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We've been talking so much about anime. I mean, there's so much at SDCC.
And there was
Well-
there was very little anime at SDCC
Yeah.
too. So anyway, those were the two concerts which were my highlights.
So the perfect pivot. This year was also the return of the Hall H, notorious for SDCC. So Marvel was back. We got some awesome announcements that I'm sure you guys all heard. But I mean, Hall H, talk about kind of like.
I wasn't there.
No, I'm just
Did you
saying.
go the year before to
no,
Hall H?
No, there was,
But
like,
I'm just saying the
nothing there.
notoriety of Hall H.
Oh yeah, Hall H is huge. I mean, Hall H is where you've had like all the Marvel announcements before D23 became a thing. That's where
People who've never been to SDCC have heard of Hall H.
I've heard of Hall H.
That's probably the one thing you've
That's
heard
where all the Marvel announcements where people would wait like 24 hours in advance and line up
And not
just
just
so
Marvel,
they could get
any
a chance.
big. I mean, Marvel is the biggest stuff, but it's big movie announcements.
Yeah, I think they
Basically,
did
like,
Star Wars stuff there. Like
Hall H is Hollywood's installation, essentially.
For
Yeah, that's their
nerd culture.
activation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But when we went last year, it was the actor strike, so there was nothing happening at Hall H, and it was empty, and it was disappointing. I mean, this year you had RDJ.
Yeah.
Well, and also, the thing with Hall H, so the other cons that we went to, the panels are just the panels. They don't really release them. But like the thing with Hall H is they film the whole thing and
They,
put
like,
it out on
live
YouTube
stream
to
it,
make it a
right?
big thing.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, I care less about going to Hall H personally because I go to panels for like an experience that I couldn't normally have. But like I can just watch Hall H at home and not wait in line for that.
I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, same. It's like I'm not willing to forego like an entire day's worth of con for an hour and a half.
And they
Especially-
changed
yeah.
it, right? So the way it worked,
I-
you lined up the night before.
Yeah, so you have to line up the night before, and then you get like a ticket, and then
Yeah.
I think you have. And so if you want to see a panel on a Friday, you have to line up on Thursday night at 7 p.m. And they hand out tickets, and
this
then
was like in a field, sort of.
yeah, kind of like
10
in
minutes
behind
away,
the
like all the way around
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And then you get a ticket, and then that way you can like go back to your residence, sleep, and then you wake up and you have to be in line again by 10 a.m. the next day.
Historically, people would line up.
You
and
could just
stay in
sleep
line
there.
the night.
Yeah.
They wouldn't give out tickets.
Is the ticket guaranteed entry?
Yes.
If you're there by 8:30?
It's something in the morning.
Something like you had to
Yeah.
be there by 8:30.
So you have to get a ticket and you have to be there by 8:30, and that's
right.
the only way you get guaranteed.
Yes,
Yeah.
because we talked to somebody who got a ticket and didn't get in, but it's because they thought it would just get them in,
Yeah.
and they came back later in the day. But after 8:30, I
That's
think,
like-
or 9 or whatever, other people who don't have tickets, if there's space, can get in.
Can get in
So if you
line.
come back at 11 because you're like, I got a ticket, you were supposed to be there at 8:30. They've probably filled Hall
They've
H,
already given
and
your
I don't
seat
think
away.
they empty it, right?
So people just camp there all day?
Yeah,
I think you can camp Hall H.
I think so.
So you go for like whatever announcement is there in the morning. So you. Can
I think
see
so
RDJ
because
That's
the
what-
person
that's
that
what
we met
happened.
at Lisa, remember they
Yeah.
said that then they were in Hall H the whole next day.
Yeah.
And they were like, I didn't go to the bathroom and I didn't eat.
Yeah. And that's like what
That's
you do.
crazy.
Now, to be fair, the experience for Deadpool versus Wolverine, which was probably the biggest thing in Hall H,
Yeah.
that people knew.
They
what was
screened
gonna
the
be.
whole film,
They screened
right?
the whole thing with Ryan and Hugh. They were there.
Were they-
So like you got to watch the movie with the actors.
Were they like commentating on
I
it?
think so. That's kind of the impression I got. Somebody told us because they'd
Yeah, I
been there.
don't
They're
know.
like, yeah, we got to see it with the actors. Like, so maybe they commentated after. But like that's a unique experience, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Did
A
you
cheer
watch
screening.
anything live stream or follow anything on social media for the announcements?
No. To be
I
honest,
did
like
8 years ago, but now I'm like, whatever.
I don't care. Like
Yeah.
all that stuff. They release the trailers same day,
Yep.
or you see a Twitter thing and you're like, oh, RDJ's there, and then like Reddit blows up, and it's more
You
interesting.
don't want to watch a
reading the
video of
comments than
people
being
cheering
there.
for 2 minutes after watching a trailer?
They're like feral. Like
Yes.
They're like, "Ah!" Yeah, and it's like, oh, cool. Like,
You're
RDJ's
making an
back
Ironheart
as
movie.
Doctor Doom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's a Skrull somewhere in the world. I don't know. The interest in Marvel, I think, for everybody has been waning. So and with news coming out so fast and being released on like whatever cycle, it's not like, oh, June is like the big month where you learn about all this stuff. People will give you news throughout the year.
Yeah.
So it's just not
They also announced it
exciting.
so far in advance that I'm just
Yeah.
like, I can't be bothered to care. Tell me in 2 years when it comes out.
There's really nothing there that I
Like they
care
showed,
for.
like at D3, they showed like, just as a random example, Ironheart. It's just the logo. It's like, okay, when is that coming out? 2028?
Yeah. And
What
like,
do I do with this?
I'm really hungry for like some original properties, but original properties, unless you attach like a big director or a big actor or a big writer onto it, there's not really a lot of buzz for it.
Yeah.
But all of these tentpole series like Star Wars, I don't care about. Marvel, I don't care about. DC, I care, but like we'll see what happens with DC in the future. Like I don't know what else is like really exciting outside of the anime sphere.
Yeah.
In Western media, there's really not. And then like I'm a big fan of Western animation, but Cartoon Network is not really putting anything out. Adult Swim not really putting anything out like they used to.
Yeah.
Same with Nickelodeon. And it might also be me getting older, but I doubt it because I'm a little man child.
I feel the same way. I don't know if it's we're getting older. I think it's just we've been consuming more. Where the same thing with like I don't care so much about random paper swag. Like I'm older and I'm like, oh, I realize I don't need to get excited 2 years before a thing comes out for like a random property. I don't know it's gonna be good. Easy example. Well, this is a bit of a difference, but like House of Dragon season 2. I don't know if you guys watched it.
No.
Yeah.
Season 1 heard was great.
I got burned from Game of Thrones.
I loved the books, but I was burned by Game of Thrones. So I said,
Yeah.
and I have another friend who's the same way. I'm not watching House of Dragon until it's over, so I can hear if it ends on a good note. Because Game of Thrones ended so poorly that it soured my experience with the series.
Yeah.
Season 2 horribly received. George R. R. Martin wrote a blog post where he ripped the show apart.
Really?
I heard it was like
Whoa.
just nothing happened.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be 10 episodes, and they cut it to 8, so like it doesn't even end on a good note. But like that just happens, and I'm like, see, I didn't get excited about House of Dragon, so I'm not hurt that it's bad. And if anything.
And you didn't waste your time.
I didn't waste my time watching season 1 to get disappointed in season 2, and
Yeah.
especially with Western properties. What was the train show that Snowpiercer?
Yes.
We went in just to get some air because it's warm in there.
To get some air conditioning.
We went into one of the bigger rooms where they were showing
like
season 7.
It was like
or 6?
it was like episode 1 of like a random season.
I think it's season 6.
Yeah.
Apparently Snowpiercer's been going on for 6 seasons. We sat in, no idea what's going on, and I'm like, this looks like most Western property. Like I can pick up what's happening in this episode, even though I've missed 6 seasons of content.
Yeah.
But it's 6 seasons. I don't want to watch something that long because like there's no way you planned this out.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely not.
Let me know when your
and
show
also,
is done.
Snowpiercer's a movie.
Snowpiercer's a movie and a book.
With Chris Evans, like great movie.
I think maybe 2 books. Like
Is the guy from Hamilton still in Snowpiercer, or has it like moved on to different characters?
I don't even really know.
But there were a lot of shows like that where it's like this thing's been around forever.
Did you just go to Snowpiercer because it said snow and you were like?
No, we literally went to
Subconsciously, that
Snowpiercer
might have been it.
because like the Godzilla kaiju panel was full, and we were like, we just wanted to sit down and
it was nearby, and we've been
We're
walking.
like,
I had my camera around my neck.
I don't need to see Hugh Jackman. I don't need to see Snowpiercer. I don't need to see Star Wars. All I want to see is a kaiju panel.
Well, it was like Godzilla's 70th anniversary, and they were talking about like Godzilla -1 and like the work they wanted. I think it was actually like. It didn't say it, but it kind of seemed like it was like, yeah, the legendary movies or whatever, but like, let's talk about a good Godzilla movie, like Godzilla -1, and how they did it for less and it's better.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to see
Toho
that.
and Legendary.
I watched
so
the legendary version on the plane to SDCC.
It's trash.
I was fast forwarding through parts. It's so bad.
I watched it.
I was irritated. Angry that it happened.
I watched it in theaters. We watched it in theaters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a summer blockbuster. You watch it and
you
you're
turn
like,
your brain off.
Oh my god, this is so cool. And you leave and you're like, what happened? You're like, I don't know, Godzilla had
Literally,
like a
as they were
cool
talking, I started fast forwarding through parts. They're like,
Kong
oh, there's a magical kingdom in the center of the earth with a MacGuffin. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
How did you find this?
It was all to get like that scene of them.
The logic never made sense for how they did it.
Riding their kaiju.
We
towards each other.
randomly built a metal glove for King Kong because we thought she's like
because his arm hurt.
Yeah, it's like we built it a while ago because we were thinking maybe someday it'd be nice to armor these monsters we're trying to kill. What?
Also, this giant monkey, we need a vet for him.
Yeah, luckily
his tooth
this
hurts.
one super cool, kind of vaguely Australian dude.
Yeah. You're like, nobody else can operate on this kaiju because it's just a monkey, which is like pretty close to human teeth.
Which there are other no veterinarian understands monkeys.
Yeah.
Just this one Australian
We
dude.
should correct. It's an ape. He's an ape.
He's an ape.
He's a kaiju
Fair.
ape.
Yeah, all monkeys are apes, not all apes are monkeys.
Squares and rectangles, baby. Squares and rectangles.
Anyway, we didn't get into the kaiju
So yeah,
thing.
alas, we didn't get in.
Snowpiercer was not that interesting.
It was a close second, I guess.
SDCC is for, I would say SDCC is, we talk about like who's it for. If you're into Western properties, it's very much for you. If you're into anime or Korean content, there's less there for you. But I feel like there's still enough to be entertained. Like, there's a lot of cool cosplay. Like, even though I didn't care about the properties, like, the cosplay was awesome. Some incredible stuff. People building, like, actual R2-D2s that could, like, zoom around. I don't even like Star Wars that much, but, like, seeing the little R2-D2s being driven around, like, beep and shoot out their little fake penis flame thing or whatever it is. Yeah.
And it's like a little light.
Yeah, or, like, panicking with the lights going. Like, that shit's cool. So it was interesting to go. I would definitely go again as press. I don't personally, given my interest, I don't think I would go just as a regular fan.
Attendee.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a vibe. Like, it's an experience. It's like it's a very industry driven. Like.
Would you go again?
I mean.
Would you go again as press, or would you go again, like, if you had to buy your own pass, would you go?
So if I had to buy my own pass, probably not. Just because being New York based. The travel is a lot. Hotel is a lot.
We've got
passes a lot. Yeah. It's
different too because we also have a large con. Like if you don't live, like we are very, very lucky that we have probably the second
NYCC.
biggest, we have the second biggest Comic Con
ANYC.
And maybe the second or third biggest anime con.
I think
so
it's
like
the second biggest,
in our backyard. If you live in other places like the One Piece cosplayers we met at AX where they were like from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
These are different from your local cons. This is way different than the ones I grew up going to.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean. Yeah, I would, if I was just regular attendee, probably not, but if I had the opportunity to go back as a press or something, then
If you'd never been, would you say it's worth going once?
I think it is. That's why I said it's worth going once.
Yeah.
Definitely a bucket list item.
To try it out. I always refrain from doing it because I heard how hard it was to go as an individual, and that it's totally different going as press. So like I'm glad I got to do it that way. But having done it, if I could go back, I probably would have tried to go when I was younger, just as a fan. I think it's worth it to see.
It's very family friendly,
and it's so different from New York Comic Con. Yes, it is very family friendly.
I feel like 2015 would have been like the peak time to go to SDCC.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just...
Oh, but it is very well, I would say, very well managed in the same way we talked about AX. Like, it's easy enough to move around in. The whole city has really good public transit. Like, they set up bus routes for everybody. You guys were staying, like, 2 miles away. And
there were
I just met you guys at the shuttle.
Yeah.
Thinking back to it, like, I agree with everything you guys said. The thing that sticks in my mind most about SDC is the Old Spaghetti Factory. I had never been to Old Spaghetti Factory. And they give you free ice cream, and the spaghetti is...
Spumoni.
It's not bad. It's better than Olive Garden.
I mean, that's not saying a lot, but good to know.
Highly recommend Old
Shots
Spaghetti
at anybody
Factory.
who likes Olive Garden. I'm sorry, it's not good.
Yeah, shout outs to Shade TV for introducing me to Old Spaghetti Factory.
That's what Shade TV is for, right? That's the whole moral of introducing people to Spaghetti Factory.
The S in Shade TV stands for
Spaghetti.
Factory. Yeah, the rest... We'll figure it out.
The H is House of Spaghetti.
A. Spaghetti.
D is damn spaghetti.
And E.
Eating spaghetti.
Eat the spaghetti.
And television.
TV is because we film it.
Yeah, we film it.
Was there anything for SDCC that, like, either you were surprised that you liked or, like, got you into, was like, oh, let me look into this a little more?
Having gone to NYCC so many times, there was nothing at SDCC that made me feel like this was unique and it was like a must.
I think you're biased with your New York Comic Con shirt.
Yeah, that's true. You've been paid. By New York Comic Con, the musical.
Yeah.
The activations are totally different. New York, the few mediocre
not even
activations
comparable.
We have, not comparable. That is so cool.
But if you're waiting an hour, 2 hours to go.
The other thing is, like, it's easier to get food. It's so much easier to get food because you're in the city of San Diego.
Yeah.
It's so many good tacos. Like, or just a few minutes away.
I mean, coming to New York, like, it's easy to get food in New York, but, like, Javits is in its own, like...
Yeah. You can't just be in the area.
You gotta walk, like, 15 minutes out.
Yeah. I will say, I mentioned it, standing in the line for Silo and talking to people, I'll check Silo out now, because I got to have some fans kind of explain to me why they liked it, so I'll check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say that's the one thing I took away of, like, oh, I saw something there where I'll look into it where previously I hadn't.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've been bashing on it a little bit.
It's a great con. It's very much, maybe for you guys, for me as well, I'm definitely consuming way more Asian properties at this point and way less Western properties, so it wasn't so much in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, and I think the proximity to AX, right? You're not going to get the same. People aren't going to fly in from Japan the same way that they would maybe for like New York because it's like 5 months
Yeah,
away.
the way that like New York Comic Con, because Anime NYC didn't exist, like there's a decent anime presence at New York Comic Con still. I don't think San Diego Comic Con has that because AX exists, and AX has existed for so long.
Yeah.
I think there's also the aspect of at anime cons, it's smaller, it's less popular, so you can get closer to the talent. You can you can have more intimate conversations with people. I mean, as press, yeah, obviously, but like even as a person, you go to these panels and they're giving very frank answers. Whereas you go to an SDCC and you have Chris Evans, Chris Pine, whoever on stage, they have very curated PR responses.
They have their sound bites they're gonna give because they know it's gonna get a big cheer.
And if you're gonna do a meet and greet, like you're behind a wall and you're like. And you're paying $400 to like breathe the same air as Jason Momoa. Like, who cares?
By the way, if you want to breathe our air, it's only $20 on Patreon.
You'll breathe in a jar.
Yeah.
Bathwater's $100.
Oh God.
Yeah.
No one wants that.
It's just me and Carlo though.
Yeah, you're not gonna get
No. That's inappropriate. Weirdly, nobody's taking us up on the bathwater offers. For sale still available. My bathroom is full of these jars. Please buy them.
Any other thoughts on SDCC?
No, actually, I don't think so. It was good, but I'm curious to hear because I didn't go to Otakon. I'm curious about your guys' experience there.
Yeah, so Otakon, Karlo and I got to go. It was very last minute. So Otakon is held in Washington, D.C., at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center, and then it's connected to the Marriott Marquis. So if you...
Is Marriott connected to all of these? Because there was a Marriott Marquis at AX and there was a Marriott at SDCC. Does Marriott secretly run all the cons?
There's usually...
This is a conspiracy episode,
Yeah,
actually.
There's usually a Hilton or a
We're
Marriott
on to you.
connected.
Yeah.
Marriott.
Or a Hyatt, something like that.
Yeah. So, like, what talk about Otakon? Well, you know,
Otakon, so Otakon is billed as the people's anime convention. It's like for us, by us. It's like FUBU for anime. But it's been running for, 35 years, I think?
Yeah, something crazy. A very long
Very
time.
long time. And actually, because it was like a milestone anniversary, they had this whole room dedicated to the history of Otakon, where it walked you through.
It was really cool.
Like the first year, and they had on the floor, they had tape markings about showing how big the first con was. And the first con was maybe the size of like a little like conference room. And they had like, I think it was like 3 or 4 desks there, no guests. But
1994, and it was in Pennsylvania.
So it's moved.
Yeah.
So it's been 30 years.
Yeah, 30 years, yes.
30
And it said, look, guest numbers. There was like 9 guests that they
You
had.
gotta put that up.
Who do you think was back there in that original 9? Like
These
Solid
people.
Snake, Ryan,
Here.
It literally-
Otakon.
Yeah, it's like these guest
I've been
lists.
sitting on that one.
I don't even know these people.
But yeah, it
yeah.
talked about like how it transformed from that into the con it is today.
Okay.
But it's still like, even though it's grown large, it still very much is a community con. You don't have the corporate presence that you do at an AX or at an Anime NYC. A lot of the panels, I mean, even at AX and Anime NYC, a lot of the panels are community run by like volunteers. But here more so, like even the programming, like what it's about, it's for the people that are there and they're like, oh, let's talk about this. Like my friends want to talk about this. And you go, and a lot of people there have been going for many years. They're meeting up with friends, and they're like just enjoying the community that they have there. But I want you to talk about, I mean, outside of AX and ANYC, which is very much a daytime thing, this feels more like a nighttime con.
Well, it has a really cool like day to night activity. So because it's in a Marriott that's connected to the convention center, and it's like very hard to get into the Marriott because of this exact reason, because they have like a ball where you go and like you dress up, but it's like, you know, in your like fancy wear. So like there's a dress code. So like if there's ever been like a perfect example is in Free Run, right? When Stark and Fern go to the ball.
Yeah.
Like there were people dressed up like that. Like if there was anything like a
There's nothing
fancy
like that
episode.
in the other ones.
Yeah.
And so they had that one night, and then the second night is a rave. So then it's like you dress up in like, you know.
Gowns again.
You're cyberpunk ball gowns.
Yeah. But it's like, again, like a very cool event, like with dress codes and like, you know, people are so immersed in it. Like they're like, oh my God, like I'm so excited. I like
More like a community feel?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause there's not so much that at the other
Like
ones.
we ran into some people, and he was like a photographer, and then some other guy came over and like gave him a high five, and he's like, oh yeah, like we see each other every year, and like
that's nice.
Like this is whatever XY Bobby, like, and then this is this person, and then that person over there, we know them. So it was like, it's like a little congregation.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and the dealers hall, right?
Yeah, like how is it kind of set up?
Yeah, so, how is it set up? Okay, so you walk in, and in the convention center, there's like this big space that is not. It's just like a welcome space. It's like a huge grand lobby, and you walk in, and there's some conference rooms where some of the panels are happening. But then to get to the dealers hall, you have to like walk around, and there's a huge downstairs area, which is like it's like a cavern. It almost feels like the same thing as Javits, right? Or SDCC, where you walk in like tall ceilings, and that's where all of the vendors are. But because it's not corporate, it's like all of the same dealers, vendors that you see at all of these other places. But there's a huge artist alley. It's probably the biggest artist alley I've seen. Like half of the dealers hall is artist alley.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
And it's a lot of artists that like I had never seen at other cons too. Like ANYC, NYCC, SDCC. I see a lot of the same
vendors
people.
going to those. Yeah.
This was like it was a different story, which was really cool because they were supplying stuff for all different fandoms. Like there was stuff for like Ouran High School Host Club. There was stuff for Cyberpunk. There was stuff for some like the older animes. Like a lot of Sailor Moon stuff.
Like Has Been Hotel.
Yeah, like I didn't see a ton of Demon Slayer things, not a ton of JJK things. A lot of more like
rare.
underground and like this. I've been into this for 30 years.
Yeah, I'm actually
this is what I'm passionate about.
actually an anime fan versus I've like watched 8 anime and I'm just starting to understand what it is.
Yeah.
And then they have that other room with all the games and.
Oh yeah, there's like an upstairs room that's like all gaming. So they have
and it's like big.
It's big. They have like rows and rows and rows of televisions and video games where people just set up like game cubes and stuff, and people are playing Smash, people are playing Rock Band, people are playing like old pinball machines, and that's like, and right by there is also a bunch of standees for like a lot of backdrops for cosplay, and that's where the cosplay meetups are. And they're huge. They're
like 30 feet by 20 feet tall, like these
bigger than,
immense
the ones
backdrops.
Yeah, so you can get like 100 people in a photo.
Which makes sense if you're more of like a fan convention, because like they don't get that much room at the other ones because the main space is for vendors.
There's
Exactly.
a lot of space at this con, which makes it really easy to navigate and like a great. I mean, regionally, it's probably the best con in that area. But if you're on the East Coast and you like, I have trouble in big crowds. This is probably one of the easier cons to attend.
Yeah, and they have like those nice, and I'm sure you've seen it at other cons too, Steve. Like the rooms where like they're just showing anime all day, so it's like you could just kind of like
do you want
withdraw.
To like you watch something you're comfortable with, or just go check out new anime like with other people.
There was one room and it was like karaoke all day, so it was just people singing,
and there were people in it.
Yeah,
people just singing OPs all day, and we walked in for like 10 minutes, and I was expecting the worst of the worst, and the guy singing was. Chef's kiss. He was so good. I
should have gotten up.
Singing. Yeah, I should have. And then I'm like, wait, I don't know any Japanese songs. I mispronounce everything.
Sing the English version of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
The Dragon Ball theme.
Just Sailor Moon.
Dragon, something Dragon Ball Z. Repeat.
Or that, or the Yu-Gi-Oh theme song. Like the.
I don't remember that one.
Oh no, not Yu-Gi-Oh. The One Piece rap. Do you remember that?
I
on
never
WB?
watched that, but I've heard it's terrible.
We should find it. We should watch
Okay.
it. We should do a live reaction
Oh
to
my God.
Episode 1 of One Piece.
And then going back maybe to like the transition from day to night, there's a lot of 18 plus events.
Oh yeah.
And they go until like 2 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there, so to
That's
go
later than I don't think AX had stuff. Going
Yeah,
on.
it
it's
goes
so late.
Like people aren't really awake there at like 2 p.m. Like things are sort of sleepy. Things
kind of start in the afternoon.
Start at like 4 or 5. Things get crazy, and then there's like an 18 plus. You have to get an 18 plus wristband.
Yep.
So we made the mistake of like waiting until like 8 o'clock to get the 18 plus wristbands for like some events at 10.
Mm-hmm.
That line was like 2 hours long to get a wristband.
Wow.
And
So hack whenever you get into Otakon and you want to go to an 18 plus event, and it's good for the whole weekend. Just get it
Flash
when
your
you walk.
degeneracy at like 2 in the
Yeah,
afternoon.
yeah. Don't be embarrassed. Just go.
Everybody.
I don't know why it took so long. Like you literally just like.
I
look
think
at
they
an
probably
ID,
had
slap
like
a
2
bracelet.
people checking IDs.
That's crazy.
So wait, what were the 18 plus panels that you were going to? Like.
Well, some of them were like movies, like
One was-
rated R movies.
Yeah, one was a screening of
Uzumaki.
like the old Uzumaki, not the new animated one that's coming out. And there were some like talking about
I mean,
the history
yaoi.
of yaoi and history of hentai and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, again, it's it's all
fan run.
Right.
Yeah. So they really get into it. We went to a couple panels,
Yeah,
and
I
it
was
is
going to ask
interesting.
what you went to that was in that category.
We went to one about the history of.
It was like fashion.
Fashion, yeah. And
Like how anime inspires like Western like
And that was
designer
18 plus.
fashion.
Yeah.
That wasn't 18.
That was.
Oh, okay.
But they were talking about like Nana and Visual K and like all these different styles and how it's evolved throughout the years. But it really is cool because it's community run. A lot of the panels they're allowed to give some of their opinions, so it's not all corporate PR stuff. So hearing people's opinions and getting to see the personalities that are moderating these events, it's a lot more fun.
Okay.
Or it's a different type of fun.
Well, and because we waited too long for the 18 plus, you didn't get to go to any 18 plus.
You didn't go to any. I was going to say, are you guys just hiding which ones you
No,
went to? Because they're like
no,
super DJ.
because we were unfortunate. We were only there for like
2 days.
2
Is it
days.
a 3-day con?
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
a
3-day con.
Friday to Sunday, and we were only there Friday to Saturday.
And we also made the mistake of going early. Like we were there at like opening at like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and by 8 o'clock we're like wiped. We've been walking all day covering stuff.
Yeah.
And you got to interview some people. And
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys have
like,
interesting opportunities.
by the time we didn't know about the
18 plus.
the 18 plus stuff, we didn't know about the ball, very demure, very mindful. We didn't know about the rave, very dead ass.
So we were not prepared.
Yeah, we were not prepared.
Like we said, it was very last minute. I think we found out we got access Tuesday.
No, Thursday.
No,
so this was
it was
even-
Tuesday, and then we drove down Thursday night.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this was even worse than like I found out about SDCC less than 2 weeks before, and this was even less notice.
Yeah.
I had to rent a car, and I was like, how far is DC?
The drive wasn't bad though.
It wasn't,
Yeah.
but DC has a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of the
Why
other
don't you just
panels,
take the train.
well, it was easier to like.
We had some other events. that we
Okay,
had to,
okay.
yeah.
And it's also like that way you're not like married to a schedule. Like we can pick up and leave whenever we wanted. We're not like, oh, we have to be there at 6:43 and then figure out how to get from the train station to the hotel.
Yeah.
Like,
But it was fun. I'd go back. I liked Otakon.
I really liked Otakon.
There's really not like too much to talk about in terms of like news
But it's a
from
cool,
Otakon.
cool
There's not
experience.
releases, but
Yeah.
like other
If you're
other
looking to just be around fellow fans,
100%.
there's
Yeah.
less about
And
selling
there's
stuff.
very like niche things. Like
Yeah.
there was a Makoto Shinkai panel where it went through each of his movies. I went to a history of the tsundere, and apparently this group of guys does it every year, but they do a different dairy. So they're like,
funny.
this year there was
It's like
tsundere.
80s, so they're good for
Yeah.
a
So
while.
then they did kuderi last year or something, and he's like, okay, just text us what you guys like. Here's a QR code. Text us which dairy you want us to do next year.
Furry
We
dairy.
So, text them for Yandere. Just make that one happen. Just the most cursed.
What's yonder?
That's like the girl who wants to murder you.
I like love you so
She
much
loves
she
you
kills
so much that
wants to kill.
She wants to kill you so no one else can have you.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay, learning things.
Yeah. But I think unfortunately the hotel block for next year already went up, and it's like everything's sold out.
It's great. I mean, the Marriott
The
is
Marriott
like
is-
$800 a night.
Yeah.
But the way that the
SDCC
Otakon
was
block
like
works
that,
is it's
too.
like it gives discounted prices. It's like so
Ooh.
it's like $300 a night at the Marriott if you could get in through the block.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like it
SDCC
goes so
was like that because I had 2 weeks notice that like the hotels were like I burned all of my Marriott points because it was like $800 a night for like and Airbnbs were just as expensive.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
I mean, with Otakon though, I mean the fact that everybody there has been doing it for many years and they're very knowledgeable, like it also is very welcoming. So if you're not, or if you're new to the anime community, it's really a good con to go to as well because you can learn a lot from the people that are there and get a lot of recommendations about like, oh, I like Demon Slayer. What did you like about Demon Slayer? Oh, I really like the relationship between the brother and sister. Oh, you probably want to watch these things.
yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I highly recommend Otakon.
Yeah.
Speaking of the people though.
Yeah, so got the really cool opportunity to sit down and talk with J. Michael Tatum, who's been on my list for like ever.
J. Michael Tatum, who has voiced every character with glasses.
Yeah, every character with glasses.
It's actually his requirement.
Yeah, right? Well, he actually
You can
made
hear it in his voice.
he made that comment. He was like, well, back when I started voice acting, they were like, oh, you have glasses? Okay, you're voicing this character. So he was very self-aware at all.
Yeah,
But he voices Tomoe from Kami-sama Kiss, Tenya Ita from My Hero Academia, Commander Erwin from Attack on Titan. I mean, Ouran High School Host Club.
He had spiritual glasses, Erwin.
Yes. I'm like trying to look at all my collections over here, but he's
disability. It was an arm disability.
basically, you've heard his voice, right? And so he was really cool to talk to. So nice, like.
And we can link that.
Yeah, we'll link the video down below. Like, just so animated, like easy to talk to, like.
So much fun.
So much fun. The interview went so fast. I wish we had more time.
He's such a sassy man.
Yeah. He was like, I just want to be a.
And he's tall.
He's very tall.
He's like 6'5".
Like I'm 5'7", and he's
6'2's the limit.
Yeah, like I'm 5'7", and he was, I maybe was up to his like between his elbow and his shoulder.
Yeah. We have a picture of you
Staring up.
Yeah. I was like, ah.
And then who else? And then Ricco.
I mean, Ricco Fajardo was there, who's always a gem. Like if
Who
he's
does Ricco voice?
So Mirio from My Hero Academia, Ichigo from from Blue Lock. He's just in a new one, like I don't
know.
I forget. Anyway, he does a lot too, and he's a gem. He's so nice. Like if he's ever at a con by any of you guys, like line up and just talk to him because he will spend like 15 minutes just talking to you.
Notorious for making a 30-second you get 30 seconds with him, turning that into a 5-minute conversation about anything and everything.
Nice.
So nice, so nice. So I got to sit down and interview them, but then, they had a ton of other people. Like, Brendan McGinnis was there, who's J. Michael Tatum's husband.
Also,
Max
you
Middleman.
didn't have these, scheduled. Like, you rolled up and asked them, and they gave you time.
Yeah, well, Ricco, we walked up and asked him, because he wasn't available for formal interviews.
Yeah.
J. Michael Tatum, we did go through the scheduling process, so we were able to fit us in for him.
And it's so small; it's literally just like a team of 5 people that were in the press room that you coordinated with. So it was really quick. And
really
easy.
nice.
Compared to AX, where they're like nobody in this press room knows who the contact person is for that.
Yeah, it's.
No, it was. Yeah, you literally walk in and the lady's there with her computer. She goes, what outlet, and then you talk, and she's like, okay, sit down, and then it's just so organized.
Yeah, she's like, okay, we'll get you in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when we were interviewing him, one of the press people came out, and there was a window, and they're like, 5 minutes left.
Yeah, they gave you the 2-minute warning, they're very...
That's so much nicer than the one I did at AX, where the person literally on mic is like, you're done. I was like,
He took it out of your hand. You're done.
Like, excuse me, where'd you come from?
You're done. You're done.
But I would definitely go again next year. Yeah. It's a nice breath of fresh air, especially after SDCC. Like we talked about, the being so immensely large and corporate run and a lot of events, very hectic, to something a little more laid back and grassroots feeling.
I do have one regret from Otakon. There was one artist in Artist Alley, one vendor, and they had, remember the ancient Mew gold card that you got at the
McDonald's?
No, either it was McDonald's or the first Pokemon movie.
Yeah.
They had that, but in earrings.
Oh.
And I was like, I should get that. And then by the time I remembered to go back to get it, they were sold out.
Okay.
So that is my biggest regret. And I've been looking everywhere for. I don't even know what the name of the vendor was. And
you should have just looked at the
next year.
Yeah.
That's the reason to go back to Otakon.
So have we convinced you?
Yeah, no, I'm interested. No, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, maybe with more than 2 days notice, but yeah.
Well, yeah, we were even.
But I'd be down.
I threw stuff in a suitcase and was like, all right, we're off.
Yeah. You didn't cosplay at that one?
No.
Just,
yeah. I mean, I have some ODM inspired pants and a shirt, and I wore that to
From
talk.
Steady Hands.
Yeah, to talk.
Rest in peace.
To talk about to talk to J. Michael Tatum. So,
Gotcha.
but I was I don't have the time or energy to try and pull something together in 48 hours.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we have?
The other con.
Yeah.
Did you forget what the other con was?
Anime NYC.
I've gone to so many cons and film
more.
festivals this year that I'm just I am evented out.
All right.
All right.
So we went to, you guys went to two newer con, SDCC
us,
for the first time, Otakon for the first time. How was it then going back to something that you've gone many times at Anime NYC?
I know exactly what it is, which is kind of nice. What you're getting into. We knew the reservation system, and we're able to try to reserve some stuff beforehand, which was good.
Anime NYC was solid. It's always solid. What I really like about Anime NYC, besides it being close to home, it is a very smoothly run con. There's really nothing to worry about.
There weren't any issues with letting lines break apart or anything like there was last year.
Yeah,
Like it was better run.
It was much better run, and the panels we didn't go to too many panels. They didn't have. Okay, so
I went to I think like 7.
what was interesting is they moved it, right? It used to be in November.
Yes.
Yes.
And now it's in August, and we had
Which sucks in New York City. It is so humid.
but surprisingly not smelly.
No.
AX still remains the smelliest con.
It was like 3 times the people.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So we were
Your
ex-
margin for error is greater.
we were expecting, like, why did it move? Oh, maybe it was so they could be on a better schedule with all the releases and everything,
Or use more space.
but it was the same as it normally is in November, and there weren't any more or less significant announcements or news
I
items
would
from
argue there was
AX.
maybe less
Yeah.
because I know at least one vendor. I talked to some Crunchyroll people at the One Piece concert, and they were saying that like we're just not going to have as big of a presence because it's like,
so close
it's 4
to
weeks
AX,
later. We
yeah.
don't have much to announce.
Yeah.
So it was
Crunchyroll aired Mecha Ude, which is like a Kickstarter anime that somebody did that they like picked up, and it's like that would not have qualified for AX.
Yeah.
It was okay, but like
What did we get at ANYC this year?
Like in terms of like
Exclusives or news releases?
So they brought over Chiwa Saito, who's a huge VA. She
Yes.
voices like Hitagi from
like old school,
Monogatari.
like
She voices
yeah.
the black-haired girl whose name I'm forgetting from Madoka Magica and like a bunch of other things.
Yona of the
Yona of the Dawn. She does.
Yeah.
She did voice lines from like all those characters.
It
which
is fun that
really
you
cool.
say like the black haired
Haired
girl because
I'm
that
forgetting
is like
what her name is, and
that
I don't
is
want to say it
unique
wrong.
in anime.
Yeah, versus pink
like
or
any other color you can get. Oh, you got that English.
Akemi Homura. It was written in her bio.
You got the English VAs for Dandadan.
Yep.
Released.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
super
And the
cool news.
Japanese VAs were there, and Kensuke Ushio, who's the composer for that, and like 40
and,
other anime.
and one of the
and
producers
one of the
from
producers,
MBS.
Yeah.
yes.
was there as well.
But like the fact that they had the Japanese and the English VAs together, that rarely happens.
Yeah, they did. Carlo's right. They did announce then the whole English cast.
Yes,
which
that's
was,
true. They
was-
did.
And Creepy Nuts.
and
And Creepy Nuts was there to do a concert, which we got to see, and they also came and performed just Bling Bang Bang Born during the Mashal panel.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and I got to sit in on an interview with them, which was
You
a
got
lot
to
of fun.
interview Kensuke Ushio too, right?
Well, Marissa,
Marissa did.
Somebody did.
someone interviewed.
Marissa did. We ended up writing it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, not a lot of announcements, but yeah,
I'm trying to
some
think
cool
of,
stuff. Creepy Nuts, like Bling Bang Bang Born was the theme song to ANYC this year.
Yes,
like
it was.
every day there was a new event where Bling Bang.
I
Bang
think that
Born
was
being
definitely the
played.
anthem of the
Yes, it
convention.
was.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
so much fun, and Creepy Nuts was cool.
Yeah.
I really like their. I've enjoyed their music for a while, so it was like cool to see them perform again. I got to see. Them
I was
at
gonna
that
say you
festival
saw
I
them
went
in
to.
Japan, right?
Yeah, they performed the festival, and they were probably after Yoasobi, maybe before Yoasobi. They were amazing. I knew a lot of their music.
What is it? It's DJ Matsunaga and
Ryusei?
Ryusei, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
No,
they're-
Arshite.
Arshite.
Yeah.
He's electric on stage.
Yeah.
Like sweating, pouring everything he can into the performance. Like you think a DJ like similar to Yoasobi.
Matsunaga played during the Olympics.
Yeah,
Performance in
he's
Tokyo.
an incredible. He won
Yeah.
like the DJ championships in World DJ championships in 2019.
Yeah.
He's a great DJ.
Yeah.
And normally you think like a DJ and an MC on stage like it'll be fine.
You think Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, like what is not that
Like-
Ryan Lewis is bad, but like what is he doing? On
Yeah,
stage?
Yeah.
and like without backup dancers or
Yeah.
like crazy pyrotechnics, like what is it? But them on stage was freaking electric.
Yeah.
So much fun.
So were you pleasantly surprised? Like, did you go in with any expectations?
I went in just being like, oh, I like Bling Bang Bang Born.
I was like, I think I sent you the Billy Ken song before. I was
Yeah.
previously I was like, I love the song. Like,
And like
something they
most
do.
of the time, like hip hop acts, like I listen to their music, but then when I watch them live, I'm like disappointed. The only other time I've had a good time at a hip hop act was Chance the Rapper, but that's because he had like a full band on stage with him playing.
I was gonna say I have a similar experience with Childish Gambino, and it was the same thing. He had a full band. It was,
Like you
really
need
innovative.
that energy. When it's just an MC on stage, it's like. Well,
But they were good.
They were good.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
like Creepy Nuts.
And I entered the raffle for. They had like a huge banner that they signed, and somebody won it. I didn't win it, but the guy working the booth, people were like, he was kind of like, yeah, you missed out on this opportunity, but like, pretty good chance you'll see him next year. So not too surprising.
Hint, hint.
Not
He's
too surprising
going
with
with
how many
Lisa.
bands have like toured this year, the past couple years, but like they're gonna do a U.S. tour.
Creepy Nuts, Lisa Yoasobi. Are they all on the same label?
I mean, I saw 2 of them at the same festival last year. They perform a lot together, so
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So concerts, panels.
Oh, I went to the Terminator Zero panel, and they had the showrunner and the director there, and that was really cool. I'm not very into Terminator. I think I feel the same way as like literally everyone. The only good ones are the first 2. And during the panel, they talked about how much the first 2 meant to them, and they never mentioned the other Terminator series. So like, okay.
What other Terminator?
Did you get to watch any
exactly.
of it? Or
yeah, they showed the first 2 episodes. They're like, okay, you have a choice. Do you want the English voice or the He didn't even say what it was. He just goes, cheer if you want the Japanese voice, and like there was more cheering, and then he goes, cheer if you want the English voice. Not quite as much. So they played the Japanese, but they used the way they had the panel room set up for the big room is big stage and then floor to ceiling TVs on either side of the stage. And so when they played it, the first 2 minutes, there's no dialogue. So everyone's just watching, like, this looks really cool. And then 3 minutes in, somebody talks, and they realize they've got the video floor to ceiling. So the subtitles are, like,
Oh, God.
You can't see
half
that?
a foot off the floor. So everybody 3 rows back can't see. So there's just people screaming, we can't see this up. And they ended up shrinking it, so it like, just took up less space.
Except for the one guy in a fedora, he's like, I understand everything.
Yeah. So that was funny. I was like, oh, this is an
I think
argument.
I'm really starting to like this Terminator.
I was like, oh, this is the argument for dub.
All these casuals, baka.
Yeah. So then, but I left partway through because you guys were at the masquerade.
Oh my God,
and
yeah.
I was like, how is it? And you were like, it's really good. So I tried to leave and come in, and they would not let people in. They're like, it's capped, and people were leaving. I was like, people are literally leaving. Can I just go take their seat? And they're like, we can't. People are standing on the sides. It's overfull.
They were. It was
It was
overflowing,
packed.
and it was incredible. Yeah. We had gone to 3 masquerades this year. We had gone to AX.
We went to SDCC.
We went to SDCC.
Was it a masquerade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so you went to 3.
And SDCC wasn't that good.
Yeah.
And then we went to the Otakon masquerade.
Oh, how was the Otakon one?
Did we?
Did we?
I don't think we did.
You're making that one up, but
am I making that up?
I don't think we went
all
to
I know
the
is
we've
that-
been to a number of masquerades in prior years
Everything's melding
too.
together.
Yeah, but the AX one was, or Anime NYC was good.
Yeah. AX was hot garbage.
Yeah.
Anime NYC.
Too big, bad performances,
Terrible
way too much time.
SDCC, well, you weren't there for it.
I
but
came in to SDCC at the end after the One Piece concert, and it was a 20-minute lightsaber performance. And I was like, is everybody... I texted Emily, I'm like, are they all this long?
It was like
are they all lightsaber performances?
It was like an
And then there was
exhibition.
one other 20-minute performance, and I was like, how many? There's only like 6 acts?
Because you know how like at the end of Anime NYC they had the group doing the dance performance, like the professional group. They did that,
like,
but it was
the professional...
Okay.
for the
yeah.
judging. So
Manga
then
judging.
it was a lightsaber group and some other dance
Some other
crew.
one. So I was like...
It was
what
like a
is
Dungeons
this?
and Dragons inspired dance
So
routine.
a masquerade.
So anyway, so I missed it. It wasn't good, though, from what I heard.
It was a little underwhelming and
Better or worse than AX? Is AX the worst?
I thought SDCC was really bad. But one of the main contributing factors to that was they had these hosts there.
Oh, the hosts were bad.
And they were
apparently
just-
host every year.
And they were like
They're
a husband
older.
and a wife, and they're older, and which that has nothing to do with it.
just
So I don't know why I
describing.
said that, but like
they were like in
they
their
remind me
60s.
of like the Muppets that are in the balcony, but like they were
Waldorf and Statler.
Waldorf and Statler.
yeah, like they're just
Except Waldorf and Statler are funny.
yeah, but I was gonna say
But
like
yes.
they're trying to be funny,
Yeah.
and like they
Oh,
were
and it just
trying to
wasn't
make
working.
quips.
I caught it at the end, and I was like, were they? I thought they were just introducing the big dance. I was like, these guys weren't here the whole time.
Yeah,
because
no, they were-
bad. And then I was reading comments, and some people were like, yeah, they're there every year. I love it. I was like, do you love it just because they're there every year? 'Cause they were not good hosts.
They were just a little like
No offense, glad you guys love doing it. But
yeah,
like,
they
should
were
pass
just like
on
a
the
little too like Masquerade is already campy. You don't need to camp up the camp.
So Masquerade it's like a cosplay competition, but there are skits involved, and the skits could either be like a live skit where you do like there's voiceover elements, or it's like a dance,
Yeah.
or
sometimes they played like the voices
singing,
were recorded. They weren't actually doing the voices live. They would just act to the voices.
And the thing that's so confusing is like the rubric between all of them is so different. So you don't know like if they're getting graded like mostly on their cosplay or mostly on their skit.
Yeah.
And a lot of the skits are very low quality.
Well, I was gonna say, Steve went up to the masquerade table and he asked for the
I was
rubric.
like, what is the rubric? And
What was it?
It didn't exist. He's basically like, so what the judges do is they
Like, give a
judge it
score.
based off of their experience, and then they all compare their scores at the end. I was like, what are they judging on? He goes, well, it depends on the judge. I was like, that's fucking useless.
It's so
So
stupid.
it's completely subjective. So like, you would
hate it so
just
much.
from a purely fair standpoint, you would think, okay, they shouldn't be judged solely on the skits because arguably it's a cosplay contest, but since they do a masquerade, the skits weigh somewhat. There's no rule. This person could judge entirely off of the skit or be like, all your skits are dumb as hell, I'm only judging your costume. Like, they get to decide.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Stupid.
It should be like partially the skit, partially the cosplay, like some other elements, but like some.
And then the level
measure.
of quality is
Yeah.
it's so crazy. And then you have different categories. There's like beginner, intermediate, professional, or something
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And AX had something similar to
Yeah,
that too.
and it's like beginners, you've never won anything.
I think it's awards based.
Yeah, based on how many awards.
Because I remember asking Stella, or maybe it was her husband, I was like, do you ever enter those? And she's like, no, I'm kind of like, I'm past that at this point.
And you see people who are in intermediate or in master or whatever they call it, and they're like, oh, they've won 4 things. And you're watching, you're like, what did
they
you win?
Yeah, because I don't
Who
think this
gave
deserves
you an
it.
award?
And is it all fair? It's like I won the Rochester, New York cosplay contest, so now I qualify for intermediate.
Yeah, my mom threw a con in her basement, and she said I was precious.
Yeah.
So I won the precious
All right,
award.
so what were some
based on
highlights
the novel pushed by
from the
Sapphire.
anime?
Yeah. So what?
Oh,
why
yeah,
was
so-
Anime NYC good?
Anime NYC.
What
so,
made it good?
So in the beginner
This has
segment,
been us venting for 10
Yeah.
minutes,
Yeah.
not talking about it.
fuck masquerades. In the beginner segment, there was this group. I think it was called the Anime Businessmen, and they were one of the first performers out there.
And they were in beginner.
And they were in beginner.
This was the dance group that I saw?
Yes,
Okay.
we can
Yeah,
show
yeah.
some of the video there. But it was like a group of 10, 12 dudes that come out in just like suits.
I'm already into
And
it.
the music hits and they start dancing. And their dancing is legit professional level dancing. Like they are a dance
Group.
group. Like they would have been in America's Best Dance Crew. Like it was so good. And it was like a 10-minute performance where they just did all these OPs in a row, all these OP remixes, and just danced to it. And the crowd was going bananas.
Yeah.
Like I was out of my seat, like twirling my freaking shirt in the air. I was like, woo, yeah! And like because they were so good, everything after them, they were just like, well, I guess we gotta bring it. So
They, like,
everybody's
elevated.
performances were just so much better
Yeah.
than what I had seen in any other masquerade.
Like, fair to say, I don't know how to word this without it coming across mean, but like...
Make it mean.
They were performing versus, I think a lot of the things we saw at masquerades, I would not qualify as a performance.
No, yeah,
I would qualify it as like, and this is not fair because obviously these people try like this purely subjective,
I give
but
it-
like,
I give it
but
to
like
all of them,
not
yeah.
nearly as skilled at or practiced in doing performances where you're
Yes.
like you feel like you're watching something very very amateur.
Yes, it's
And
like
this didn't felt like okay, these people put some time in to like really get their skits down because we saw at AX like some people who were like way off sync with their audio or
Yeah.
like clearly hadn't practiced their moves. The little bit I saw of the
Yeah.
Anime NYC
It's
one,
like-
it was like these guys clearly put the work in.
Yeah, it's the difference between an open mic and like an actual
Like a showcase.
I
Paid
rented
to
out
see these people.
a show. Yeah, I've rented out a bar and like we're doing a show.
Yeah.
They were well rehearsed, and then every subsequent performance. I mean, one, they elevated their performance. Two, I think they were just much better prepared than any other masquerade I've seen. And then the costumes there were also very well done. Like the cosplay there was to the level
Anime
of,
NYC has great cosplay.
they do.
Yeah.
And it was to the level of an actual cosplay competition, not just a masquerade.
Yeah. What were some of like the pieces or the cosplays that really stuck out to you or the
I
performances?
don't know, you tell me. They're so far away from
There were a
I mean,
couple
you're the
like,
cosplay
really large
person.
ones I saw standing
Yeah.
on the sides.
Well,
They got in
I
for,
feel like there was a lot with like lights. Like there was a lot of like
Oh, they had the ones from Trolls.
Yeah.
The new Trolls movie.
yeah,
Oh,
they had like and they had like the wig, but it like lit up.
It was like a plastic wig. They looked
Oh.
like plastic bendy characters. They had some like ball. I can't recall like exactly the names, but they had people who had like done like beadwork on like their huge skirts.
Mhm.
Like a lot of very intricate and fine workmanship on the costumes.
I wonder-
And like or people singing. Like there were a couple where like they actually were physically singing into a microphone.
Oh,
yeah,
like
yeah.
actual live performance
Yeah,
instead of
yeah.
the ones that like AX
Not
where they were
pre-recorded,
playing a
yeah.
song and
Was this the
pretending
one
to
where the
sing it.
boy performed as well, or was that at
The little
AX?
boy?
Yeah,
That was at
AX.
AX.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, and Jonah Scott, shout out to him.
Jonah Scott and Toasty Marshmallow.
And Toast, yeah, were the hosts, and they were really, they bounced off of each other very well.
Good hosts can make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were very good hosts. Was it NYCC a couple years ago? They were doing the cosplay competition.
Actually, that's when Stella chipped in, and because they couldn't pronounce Genshin Impact, so she kind of took the mic away.
Was she helping the host?
They kept calling it Jason Impact.
You need somebody. You can't just like hire a random host. You need somebody who's familiar with the material. Because I will say that
some of the names are hard.
The host at AX, at least, like you could tell was a fan of the content, even if like what was happening on stage wasn't great. Like at least they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, and also like these contestants put in like well in advance, so you have time to like look at like what is their name, what is their handle, what property
you write
are they
a
doing?
note if you need to know how to pronounce.
Yeah,
it.
like write a phonetic.
Ask, like, oh, there's gonna be a rehearsal. You could be like, okay, how do you pronounce your character's name? Like, I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah.
Jason Impact.
Yeah, out of GEN.
Yeah, out of GEN. Jason Impact. I don't know.
Yeah. They've got some Gen Alpha kid who's named Jason but spelled GEN, and they're like, that's how it is.
Yeah.
What's your favorite generation? Jason Z.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then I think what we also saw was the fashion show for Iris Garden.
This was at
The Lolita.
That was at Otakon.
No, it wasn't. It was at Anime NYC.
That was at Anime NYC.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me about it. Clearly, my memory has gone. I don't.
Well, and Iris Garden, she's a Lolita designer. So met her through Reen Doll. Then she was at Otakon, so went up and saw her there. And then she was like, "Oh, I'm going to be at Anime NYC, doing a fashion show." Or was it? Oh no, never mind. That was Otakon.
See, I'm not stupid.
You're right. Sorry.
In this instance, you were correct.
You were correct.
We did see Bryce Papenbrook.
We did see Bryce Papenbrook.
But it's not a...
Not a Lolita.
So
Wait,
this is what
Wait, do you want to see my Bryce Papenbrook Lolita art?
Yeah, this is what happens when you go to so many cons in a year. When you go to so many cons.
Oh God,
in a
it
year.
already does.
They all blend together. But no,
Yes.
you are 100%.
Talk about Iris and then
Yeah,
talk about
but Iris Garden, amazing
At
designer.
Otakon.
They work together. A lot of their Lolita wear is inspired by architecture, so they travel to like Europe, and so their latest collection was Joan of Arc. So they did like a big like
the skirts had like all this like printed and
like armor
embroidered
on
Joan of Arc
it
stuff.
and like
Wow.
headpieces.
That's cool.
It's like
Very
really
cool.
awesome. And so I bought on my Instagram. You can see one of the dresses that I purchased from her. But anyway, that was a shout out to Iris.
And she's Korean, right?
Yes, Iris and Nunu, but Iris Garden, check it out.
Yeah, which is very cool. And then Bryce Papenbrook.
Back to Anime NYC.
Yeah, we saw Bryce Papenbrook do like a spotlight panel. And what I do want to comment about this, I mean, the advice he gave, like it's stuff that it's not like changing the world.
Yeah.
But it was very solid and like he's a great
Advice about just getting into
getting
the
into
industry.
and like what is it like being in the industry. I mean, he's very honest about his experience and he's willing to share. He's very open, and he's just like a great person to watch on stage. He's so cool.
Well, and then you learned who his dad is.
Oh yeah, and his dad was Rito Repulso.
Oh yeah.
The camouflaged skeleton guy. Like, that's his dad. So he's like, how did you get into voice acting? He's like, well, my dad was in it, so I'm sort of a nepo baby.
That's good that he acknowledged it.
Yeah, but it's so funny because like VA is not that big. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a nepo baby. I'm a partner at Deloitte.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Yeah.
okay,
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's how I got in.
Yeah. But the one thing that I took away from his panel is, I mean, having gone to cons since 2015, the quality of questions that come from the audience has improved.
Yes.
Like there used to be so many cringe questions, and I think now people like have experienced it on like the listener side where they're like, why did you ask that? That people have started editing themselves. So a lot of the people that go up to ask QAs, they're asking like really well thought out questions.
Yeah.
Did you have any Q&A stuff at your panels?
Yeah, and it was good. So one of the other panels I went to was the writer and the manga author for Shangri-La Frontier. And the manga...
That's the one with the bird head.
He came out in a bird head.
Oh,
the
yeah?
mangaka came out in a bird head, keeping the tradition of mangaka not showing their faces.
Oh, my goodness.
Which is funny, actually, because when we got the thing signed by the author of More Than a Married Couple, I was so tall that her head was behind the booth, so I almost didn't see her face the whole time. And afterwards, I was like, oh, I self-edited her face because she's a mangaka. But people asked questions during that, and they were almost all clever questions. There were a few that were dumb. like somebody's like, well, I'm caught up on the light novel, and like, are you ever gonna do this particular game? And it's like, that's so weirdly specific. I'm like, probably not, because like,
or it's like 4 years in the future.
They'll jump between different games, but it's like he'll be in a game for like 3 years real time of writing. Like, he's not gonna hit every video game. But like, not as cringe as like when we started going to panels together. I remember the first anime NYC. Like, questions would happen, and I was getting smaller in my seat as people talk. It was miserable.
Or like people go up and they're like, "You're my inspiration. I was in the hospital for 4 months because my leg was broken, and you got me through it because you voiced Bakugo."
And anyway, I just want to know, is voicing Bakugo your favorite thing?
It's so hard because it takes a lot of courage to do that. I mean, even the masquerades, it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of effort to be able to do that. And like,
this isn't us criticizing you doing masquerade. It's just some of it's not for us. But like the questions, you're taking up this person's time,
everybody's
in front of everybody. It's like, hey, especially like you get some people coming over from Japan. It's like, this is their one time in the U.S. and they're answering questions for 40 minutes. Don't ask them to read well, maybe reading one line of a character is kind of interesting, but like, don't ask them about, did you have fun voicing this character, or like, is this character your favorite, or a thing that like they've definitely answered
some of these
before.
creators they've come from Japan. This is their first time in New York or LA. They have 48 hours here. You ask them like what they want to do, they're like, I want to see the Statue of Liberty.
Did you go eat pizza?
Oh yeah, did
oh god, I forgot about that.
I was like, you told me that story.
Okay, I take it back. There was one bad panel experience, and it was the host. The Chiwa Saito panel. Unfortunately, the person interviewing her, I think, knew her. But Chiwa Saito's older, and so she's
been doing this for a long time.
But like, she's got a kid. She's got a couple kids. And so the host opens is like, so you got here, what's it been like? And she's like, well, we have 3 kids, and so my husband has a rule, like, just don't leave me with all 3 kids when you go travel for things. So I always take one of our kids with me. So I have my 3-year-old.
Please.
Like, take one. So she takes one of the kids with her whenever she travels for things.
Take this one.
And she rotates. So like, she had her 3-year-old son, and she's like, so we got to the hotel, and then I wanted to go see Times Square, but we got like 3 blocks away, and my son needed to go to the bathroom. So we went back to the hotel and used the bathroom, and after that he was tired. So we ordered
it was a big movement.
They ordered like donburi and like ate that in the hotel.
Which New York is renowned.
The next 4 questions were about New York. Like, and she's already said she didn't go anywhere. And didn't get to do it. So like, her answers for all the other questions are like, well, I didn't get to go anywhere because of my son. It's like,
yes, but what was the view like from the top of the Empire
State? Pivot, come on. And then after that it got better, but it's like the host wasted time. And it like, just blatantly, like, you always have backup questions.
There should be, at the end of every panel, there should be a survey that goes out that's not about the talent.
Like when you go to trainings, it's just how was the person who ran this panel did not do it.
And I don't want 1 to 10. I just want thumbs up, thumbs down. That's it.
Thumbs up, thumbs down.
No, like the like happy faces that are in the bathroom at the airport.
It's covered in crap. You're like,
Forrester does those.
Oh my god.
So anyway, but in general, people have gotten way better about questions at panels. It's not nearly as cringe as like Anime NYC, the first one I went to. Every single panel, there were like 4 cringe questions, and now it's like maybe Otakon.
Yeah.
People are way better about asking intelligent questions and not asking like super spoiler, pushing my glasses up. I know everything about the series. I'm going to ask this like super niche question that you won't be able to answer because it would be a spoiler if you answered it.
So I'm playing devil's advocate.
I'm guessing the ending of the series you haven't written yet. Is it this? I'm not going to answer that question.
But like, so I totally fangirled because I got to meet Laura Bailey, who was like my dream voice actor. She voices Toru Honda and Maka Auburn from my 2 favorite series.
Bruce Baskin and Soul Eater.
So like, the reason I'm playing devil's advocate is like, when I literally went up to her, I was like, oh my god, I love you so much.
But that's different because you're not in front of other people.
Like, I was that person that's like,
it's appropriate.
Can I give you a hug, please? Can you touch my hand?
Do you smell like Toru?
Yeah, right. Can I eat a rice bowl with you, please?
So,
can I come eat with you and your son?
Yeah.
People are like that with like the Pope, and you're like that with Laura.
Yeah, I'm like Laura Bailey.
I've done that with people at cons too, though. Which is funny because like everybody has their different experience. You've got like your super Catholic grandma who's like melting at the Pope, and it's like, I got to meet the voice actor from this anime, and she plays a high school girl.
Is that what you were like when you met what's her name, the woman who who collabs with Sea Dog VA all the time?
Iron Mouse?
Kaho?
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
Shibuya
no, I
Kaho?
did
Is that
not.
what you
No,
were like,
I felt like
oh
I
my
was-
god, you cut me through puberty.
No, I
Well,
did
no,
not know her before she appeared on Trash Taste, luckily. But that was also weird going up because I was like, well, you tell your story and then we can talk because we both.
Oh no, that was the end of my story because I
Well,
was.
but you saw her twice because.
Oh well, yeah. Well, I needed every morsel of Laura Bailey that I could get, so I paid.
We're
for
gonna cut right there.
Yeah.
You can guess what morsel means.
So I paid for the photo op and the autograph, and so I mean she was there with Critical Role. The Critical Role folks were there, but I.
Mercer.
Fuck Critical Role. That's not what you were there for.
Yeah. Well, something that maybe sometime in the future it's like One Piece. It's
Yeah,
a lot of content.
Yeah,
a lot.
that's longer than One Piece.
It's interesting that Critical Role is at ANYC. Like, you'd
Yeah.
think that'd be like an NYCC thing.
And probably a scheduling thing because I feel like they were at NYCC last year.
And they're also, like, the voice actors do a lot of anime voice acting.
Yeah.
Although I don't feel
like Matt
most-
Mercer does Levi.
None
Yeah.
of them did panels.
There was a Critical Role spotlight
But I mean, like
on
voice
Sunday.
actor panels. Like for
Oh,
the
yeah.
fact
Oh,
that like
yeah.
they're all in anime, none of them were doing
Anime
anime
like stuff.
aside
Well, I
from
think
signings,
I think on all of their banners they had Critical Role, and I think I may be wrong, but I think Laura was the only one that had like Toru Honda
like,
Fruits
why not
Basket
have,
on
like,
there.
Why not have like a Laura Bailey spotlight where she talks about her anime roles, or like why wasn't Matt Mercer at one of the panels doing because he still voiced a lot of anime.
Yeah.
You know?
Why wasn't he pushing Overwatch 2?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Or the Attack on Titan movie.
Yeah.
But,
But you
okay,
also
Laura
did
Bailey.
your Toru cosplay.
Yes, I did a Toru cosplay finally, and then met her in it, and then
She loved it.
yeah, she loved it, and then I don't know if you can see my like little Fruits Basket shrine up there. So, but yeah, she was so sweet, so wonderful.
No, it's over there.
No, it's right the top shelf.
It's everywhere.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And then you have all the manga there, and then
but
Soul
she-
Eater here.
Yeah, she was so incredibly sweet. Like you can just tell when like voice actors or people in general are just so pumped to like meet their fans.
Yeah.
And she was just like, "Oh my god, like you look so cute. Like that's so awesome." Like people were giving her bracelets, and like a girl like wanted to sing a song in front of her, and like it was just like everyone was just so happy.
Yeah.
And then she's just like so sweet.
How was the song?
I mean, I didn't hear it
Oh,
because
okay.
I was like
that's an
she was
interesting
like
choice to be like I want to sing a song.
yeah, she was in front of me, a couple people in front of me, but again, like
Yeah.
the fact that she
Cool that she did it.
that she
That's an
entertained
interesting choice.
it and
Yeah.
was like, oh, like
Yeah.
I'll like listen.
Was it like an original song?
I couldn't hear,
Oh,
but
okay.
She was actually singing WAP.
yeah. No, I couldn't hear anything, so but yeah, she was awesome. And so this was a big year. I met J. Michael Tatum and Laura Bailey.
You also
didn't-
met Alex Lee.
Oh,
And
I was gonna
Alex
ask
Lee.
if you got in line for him.
Talk
'cause he was at
about-
the Mashal panel.
Oh my
Talk
god.
about what happened with Alex Lee.
Well, he has like blown up. So Alex Lee voices a bunch of characters, Zenitsu,
Mashal, which
Mashal,
is huge.
Kazuya from Rent a Girlfriend,
He's gonna voice
and now
Gigi.
he's gonna be Gigi in Dandadan.
Yeah.
So he's only going. He's in Persona 5 too, which I think it had like a huge child. I have not played the
I
game.
can't remember which character he voices.
The main guy, I think, was
He's Joker?
Which persona?
With the-
He might be. He
I
might
don't
be
know.
Joker.
I know nothing about
it's a
Persona 5.
guy with black hair and headphones.
Sun Eater?
Oh, he's the artist, I think. Now I'm curious.
I don't know. But anyway, Alex Lee has had like an immense line, and I think there was a miscommunication the first day where like the line had gotten cut off, so like some of the staff just like were turning people away. I think there was a little bit of hubbub. And so then he like did right, and he was like, I'm gonna stay the entire time. I'm gonna like meet you guys. I want to come early. So like literally 10 o'clock on the dot, like every other day, he was like there, ready to sign and everything. Still, it took like two.
It was a 3-hour line.
Yeah, 2.5
When I walked by,
hours.
they-
But I mean, he's only gonna like continue to. I mean, he's been on Trash Taste. He's
Yeah.
him and Garnt did voice acting on MASH together. So
He
like,
put out like a tweet like apologizing to people.
well, yeah, on Instagram, yeah.
Oh, for how long the lines were?
Well, it was just in the when they turned him away. People were getting
Yeah.
turned away. He was like, if you were one of the people that was turned away, like, dude, come here at 10 o'clock. I will try and da-da-da.
But also, it's like what we talk about, where it's like it's kind of weird to ask people for $60 to like sign something and like be like, here's your paper, goodbye. So like he's doing what a lot of them do, which is I want to give you some time if you're paying for this.
Yeah.
That's,
Which is of course limited by the fact that there's only so many people you can process if you're giving them your time.
Isn't
Exactly.
it sad too that like that's how like that's where they make a majority of their money? Like VAs,
Is that true? I assume
VAs are
that, but
not
I
paid
do know
well.
it's not paid well. Yeah, I met a guy who did VA work back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And he was like, yeah, I used to pay well. He's like, I was making low six figures. He's like, but, I stopped. I got another job. He's like, I wouldn't go back to it now. It doesn't pay.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that they had to voice, like, however many characters every season. Like, Aleks Lee, you voiced 4 people that, like...
I feel like you're doing it out of passion, not because it's good. And that's probably why they go to a lot of cons. It's partly to meet with fans. But, like, you can actually make some money there doing
like,
it.
$100
And you're making money directly from your fans.
Exactly.
Like, it's a direct interaction.
Yes. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
What else?
Oh, I met Stella and her husband. I got to go up and say hi. They at least pretended they remembered me.
And then Shibuya Kaho.
And then we both met Shibuya Kaho. Yep, you were ahead of me in line.
Yeah. So, I mean, she was promoting. She did a collaboration. The name of the company escapes me, but
she was going to be in the new Yakuza game. She wasn't promoting for that. Oh, it was it's a clothing company.
Yeah, that's what
they do like motorcycle type gear.
Yeah, so she had a sweatshirt and a t-shirt.
And she was promoting that and the game.
Yeah, and she also had a bunch of her prints, which is like.
Is she a VA in the game or is she like mocap?
She's mocap. She's actually cool. I was like, I asked her, are you named like Shibuya Kaho? And she goes, just Kaho. But yeah, my character. So she's going to be a character in the next Yakuza game. I don't think it's going to be 8. I don't know if it's going to. There's so many.
The last one was 0.
No, the last one was Infinite Wealth. It came out this year. But they also put out, like, there's the mainline games with Ichiban, but then there's also, like, other games where they'll explore their angles, so I don't know if it's going to be mainline. But
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Which is cool. She's kind of like...
She was fun?
Yeah, she was super... I think she was Twitch live streaming the whole time. Like, that's what her phone was doing.
That could have been
But
how
you could,
tall
like...
is she?
I mean,
not that tall.
she's very short.
She's short.
Were
you taller than her?
Oh, way taller, yeah.
She's like, what, 5'5" or something?
I don't even think that. Because I'm 5'7", so she would only be...
I'll maybe take a picture of the Polaroid I took with her. I'm, like, leaned down so far.
But yeah, she was offering pictures, and then, you could, like, buy other prints from her. But the Polaroids were super cute. So she was, like, she would propose you, and, like...
I just wanted a signature, but I was like, I should buy something. And she had, like, big prints of her in outfits, but I was like, I don't know, I feel weird doing it. Because, like, I'm not interested in her for that. I'm interested in her for her personality in videos. But, like, that's what she does.
And you want to be able to take a picture of your room without getting embarrassed.
Correct. that too, but also
him to do it.
Yeah. But what was the post she did with you?
Oh, we like held hands and then did a heart.
Okay, she did the same thing with me, and I wasn't expecting it. I was just thinking like a photo, and then she goes, "Give me your hand," and she like curled fingers. I'm like, this feels cringe. I'm like, I didn't ask for this, and this is like make a heart, and I'm like. What photo is this? Like, this feels... I want to be very clear. She told me to do this.
You're like, I'm much more comfortable if I just did a hover hand.
Hover hand. That's what it felt like, though. I was like, I wasn't expecting to hold hands with you.
That's fun.
I thought it was so sweet.
And, like I said, she talked to me about the video. I was like, I've been enjoying your videos, like you going around Japan, like a lot of the tourists over there and stuff. It's been really entertaining. And
she's a great personality.
Somehow she brought up the video game. I was like, I just played Infinite Wealth. That's really cool. Wow. So, yeah, she was nice.
Yeah.
What's really cool about, like, all of your interactions, I mean, you've met so many VAs, and you meeting Shibuya Kaho, and, like, all these different mangaka and
yeah, I don't just meet former AV models. I want to be clear on that.
Yes, that's a big portion of
what I do, and a major motivator.
But what's really cool is, like, all of these people that you meet, you've only had positive experiences with all of them. I think a lot of people meet, like, Western celebrities and people feel like they're pushed away. Or
I will say some of the Japanese folks are a little awkward. I did meet Shoji Kawamori. He does a lot of mech designs for them and stuff, but he created Visions of Escaflowne, which was the first anime I ever binge watched. So like I got him to sign the DVD, and I was trying to explain. He was kind of awkward. I was trying to be like this was the first anime I ever binge watched. Yeah. Like my friend and I, Nate, we started at 4 PM in like high school and we finished at like 2 a.m. We were like, we can't stop. Mm-hmm. And he kind of didn't react a lot to it. But like the translator, who I think was the translator AX2 for like the interview with the Dandadan folks, she was like, "Oh, that's really like." She was more engaged with me than he was, unfortunately.
Cool. I mean,
I think like a language barrier.
Language barrier, personality thing. Like, it's different than someone like brushing you off.
Yeah, it's never been brush off. It's more like they're a little awkward. I think the English VAs and just folks who speak English, they're better at engaging. Yeah, which is cool. It feels like a more legitimate. They feel like they're part of the community.
And then coming back to like, all these 3 cons, I think that's the thing that I really love about the anime community and anime cons in general. There's like a smaller feel, and there's more engagement and more care about the fans, to give them like what they want and to not pander to them, right? Like not just say like, oh, you want a new Star Wars? We're making a new freaking Star Wars. No, it's like, okay, what do they like? Let's make Dandadan into a Science Saru animation, right? Like, let's make this happen because there's demand for it. Let's have people talk to the fans in a very candid way. Let's get VAs there to promote. Like, it's really, like, it feels like what NYCC and SDCC were many years ago. Like,
At the Dandadan panel, they had Shion and Hanai-san, the Japanese VAs, read a line. Like, they read a scene, and then they had the English VAs read the same scene. And, like, Shion Wakayama was, like, gushing afterwards. She's like, that was so cool. Like, your Momo is so good. She was, like, doing, like, the squeal, like, I can't even thing.
So
and it was legitimate. She wasn't faking it.
Yeah, like, there's, like, even for the talent, there's a passion about it. It's not just doing it
They
for
were
a
getting so
paycheck.
excited watching each other. And the English VAs were the same way. They're like, oh, it's so crazy watching them work.
If I could have run that panel, I would have wanted them to do the different languages.
Try to read this.
Yeah, try to read this.
I think what made that panel really fun too is that AJ Beckles and Abby Trott, they are not only the VAs, they were the MCs for the panel. So they were
such a good.
So they
decision.
were. I mean, they're passionate about the series, obviously, and then AJ Beckles being a longtime manga reader, right? Like, he's obviously a huge fan of.
Voicing Okarun.
Yeah. Like, having them ask the question.
He's like, I've been reading this. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Like, having them ask the questions, like, it was.
Oh, and Kensuke Ushio is fully fluent in English, so he like could chime in on everything and like went really deep into like his choices for the music. And
they had a dance party.
He had a dance party when he played a song. He was like rocking out to it and got up and started like spinning. And then like, they did the whole like, let's all take a photo, and like they did the stage thing, and then the camera people got down, and Kensuke just goes, all right, everybody come here, and he like got his phone out. He's like, I'm gonna take one. He's like, I'm getting a photo of us.
So I do want to like rewind it back, right? Like we started this conversation about ANYC. And
one quick question: is your mic on? Because I don't see. Oh, okay, cool.
So like we started this conversation about ANYC, and I was like, oh, no big announcements, whatever. But like we had a great time.
The Dandadan panel was, I don't want to say better, but they brought more people than they did to AX. Terminator Zero was really big.
The Shangri-La panel.
Chiwa Saito showing up was crazy. The Shangri-La Frontier person showing up was crazy. Critical Role, even if it's not in my wheelhouse, like
Nuts.
That's huge. Creepy Nuts, first ever US show.
So like they didn't have the announcements, but it was still fun.
There were some big things, even though it didn't feel bigger than last year.
Yeah.
That's the real confusion, is like it didn't truly feel bigger.
Yeah.
And also, it's really nice.
It was better run.
Better run, and it's really nice being able to go back to your apartment.
And sleep in your own, and not have to be confined by a suitcase by what you can buy.
Yeah, so I think, would we say the same thing about this that we did about Otakon and, well, maybe not a CCC, but like worth going, great con for anime fans. Like, SDCC is like, I would maybe go once if I wasn't going as pressed, but like Anime NYC, I go every year.
And I think if you have the budget for like either AX or Anime NYC, like if you go to either one of those, you'll have a great time.
Yeah.
Like you won't feel like you missed out on.
And it's nice because it's East Coast, West Coast, right? So you can like one side of the country, you can only swing it one way.
I would say AX is technically bigger. Not technically, AX is bigger. Like it's probably more expensive to get to. I think just the way that it's structured and how that whole town sells out. But like it's worth going to once at least.
Yes. And New York's expensive.
New York is expensive too to travel to. Yeah. So but they're different. They're both great, and they're very different from each other.
Yeah. And then Otakon, great regional.
I'm really interested in going to that next year. It sounds really fun.
Yeah. Any fun?
SDCC is lowest on the list. But also, this is an anime podcast. It's not that much of an anime con.
So we still have New York Comic Con.
Yep.
But I think of the cons that that we've all kind of gone through this year, well, how would you kind of tier them?
AX, ANYC, Otakon. And then I didn't go to SDCC, but based on my experience last year, where would you put
New York Comic Con versus?
I would put New York Comic Con over. But I'm also...
So Otakon's third, then New York Comic Con.
Otakon, then New York Comic Con.
I didn't go to Otakon, but I probably would agree. I agree with all the rest of your rankings. SDCC is the lowest for me. I'd be down to go again to experience it, but it's just not as much in our wheelhouse.
I think it's just... I think it's also just a victim of its own success. Like, it's so big that it's just like...
Also, I think if you took the activations away, which is probably one of the biggest strengths of that con, it becomes way less interesting.
Yeah.
Because then you're just in a convention center in San Diego,
waiting to go see,
waiting to get into anything.
The
lines are long. Yeah.
I'm excited for NYCC though. NYCC has it's shaping up to be like a pretty strong
The announcements are
lineup.
starting to come
Oh,
out.
are they? Well, and also it's
Yeah.
later now that like I wouldn't be surprised. It's always had anime stuff, but given the ANYC happened early in the year now, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some decent anime
Yeah.
announcements because they're going to be right before the winter season.
I was
going
gonna
to
say the winter.
before the fall season starts, and they could advertise for winter, which takes place January to March.
Mm-hmm.
You know what else is cool about? I mean, sorry, I don't know if we're wrong, but like, what's cool about like the New York cons? There is much more of a hip hop feel. Like it feels like New York. Like.
Yeah,
You know,
it
like
does.
you have DJs blasting, like not like
In the
us,
main area,
In the main
yeah.
area.
To be fair, there was not like us stuff at San Diego Comic-Con when we were at the box lunch. Like, there were a bunch of people just hawking their merch that said not like us, but it was like all the Marvel characters and stuff. And I was like, this is, I mean, smart of you to take
to
jump on this.
jump on the zeitgeist
Yes.
and make it happen. But like New York
New York has that.
feels like New York.
Yeah, there's people trying to sell you fake CDs outside the con.
Yeah.
Otakon feels like DC. I would say like
You're being pressured to vote.
SDCC and SDCC and AX. I mean, like I don't think they bring in a lot of West Coast flavor, even though they're still
No, AX
like,
AX
fun.
has none. SDCC, I feel like at least has, because it's in the city, it has some San Diego flavor to
Yeah.
it, but it's because you're literally in the city, like
Yeah.
you can't escape it. AX is just AX. There's no LA to it.
Yeah, but New
Yeah.
York is like infused.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I feel like
New York's like a virus.
the plus I think of all of these.
Wait, I got
Agents,
COVID.
man.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It was either from that or the wedding or the movie, but I got COVID, so.
Oh goodness. I think the pluses to all these cons, right, is that you don't need a car. Like maybe to go
Yeah.
to and
Yes.
from, but it's nice like if you were able to get accommodations.
AX you did.
You need, but you stayed right.
I stayed nearby, but you guys were traveling.
Yeah, but we stayed at a friend's house. But I'm saying
Well,
like,
Marissa and AJ too were not
Oh.
nearby. I mean, because there's only like a couple hotels. You can't easily commute in LA.
okay, so I stand
That's what I was
corrected.
gonna
But
say.
Yeah.
It's still a great
There's-
combo. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't have commute the way that like San Diego has the train system and
Yeah.
buses that
But
they
you don't.
run.
Yeah, and you have. I mean, you have Ubers and you have things like that. Where as opposed to like something like Hallmat in like Orlando,
Oh, yeah.
where you like sort of.
I was
need
just
to
thinking
stay
like
there
New
or you
York,
need a
New York and
car.
SDCC. There's so much public transit.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah,
use.
yeah.
Otakon. Well, I guess DC's pretty walkable.
Yeah.
DC's very walkable.
Yeah.
LA
AX
is really not.
AX
LA's the one that is not walkable.
AX we didn't take advantage of it, but they did have shuttles.
Okay. That's
That like right by the where you got the tickets or where you did the VA meetups.
Oh yeah, where the autograph area
Yeah,
was.
the autograph area, there
in
were
certain
shuttles that
parts
were
of the
running,
city.
like,
Okay,
every
so
15
maybe
minutes.
so maybe they did have
I think
that
we
then.
just didn't take advantage of it.
enough.
They didn't
I
stop
think. Well, I
close
think
to
where
us.
we were staying.
We were staying in a residential area, and they stop at
Okay,
like
so
hotels.
maybe we don't know about AX, but the rest of them had good public transit, and maybe AX did as
Yeah,
well.
unfortunately, didn't take advantage of the shuttles.
Yeah.
I used my money on private.
Would you
delivery
agree
service.
with that ranking as well? I think I agree
think
with Carlos
so,
without.
yeah.
I didn't go to Otakon, but I would just hearing what it is.
I
it's
think
probably better
so.
To me than
Yeah, I don't have any.
Yeah. I think the bigger takeaway too is if you're an anime fan, like anime cons, you're gonna get more out of than the Comic Cons, which happen to have some anime infusion.
Well,
Yes.
especially now, like I mean, I feel like you would agree that it's gained popularity. So now it's like you're not a corner of within a bigger con. It's
Yeah.
just like two booths have anime
Even
stuff.
the first Anime NYC was only if you've been there on the exhibition floor, it was just the left side where like they have a couple big booths and then it like goes into that low underground. It was like 8 aisles, and then there was an artist alley. Like it was really small, and that was even anime was decently big at that time, but like it wasn't huge, and then it's grown, and now anime is really popular and like. You've got celebrities watching JJK or writing music about it, and
Yeah.
Demon Slayer's everywhere, and Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that.
Now I got all these
people are listening.
normies ruining my thing.
All right, anime hipster.
No,
Yeah,
very,
right.
very much. I know a lot of people like that online. No, I'm glad people are enjoying it, but like, come back to me once you've gotten past Demon Slayer and started exploring the genre.
Yeah. I mean, the anime.
It's a great way in.
Yeah, the anime men put out that video where they were like, "We have a confession to make. We like My Hero Academia," and I'm like, I mean, it got a lot of people into anime.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a solid shonen.
Yeah. It's perfectly mid.
So on that note, I think that's all we have for today. But I mean, next up we have NYCC, which is super pumped for. So I got a couple months to
Yeah.
recharge before we go into that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah.
This is a perfectly mid, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Did we decide how we're signing this thing off?
Yes, 1, 2, 3.
I'll get it eventually.